I literally just saw that my mic had been muted that entire time. Oh my god. So no one heard my spiel at all. Welcoming everyone to the stream or describing what we were going to be doing or covering. So we got about 2-ish minutes of just completely dead air right at the beginning of the stream. This is really great. It would not be a multiracial lion stream if I was not just absolutely, completely scuffed. Jesus. Hi, Elucidator. Welcome. Hey there, Mr. Decker, Little Petey, LPJ. So today I want to do. I was commenting. I really need some music for this. Today I want to do some yapping and just go over some stuff that I thought was kind of interesting or neat or whatever that I saw. I've got some news and some gaming news, and then I've got some videos for us to watch, which one of them I'm particularly looking forward to. It's from one of my I wouldn't necessarily call him one of my favorite YouTube channels, but it's definitely one of the ones I find most interesting and engaging. Thank you for the follow, Rim. Which he does a sort of kind of out there, I wouldn't exactly call it creepypasta, but something in that vague kind of ballpark. And one of the series of videos that he does is celebrity conspiracy theory stuff, and I find those really fascinating. The one that really got me was one on it's got multiple subjects in each video, obviously, but this one of its subjects was Kristen Pfaff and how she died, which ties into the death of Kurt Cobain. And let's just say that I am pretty convinced that Courtney Love did that. Or at the very least, she knows someone that did. But anyways, we'll get to that here in a bit. I really need some music to back this. It's super quiet, and that's not so good, right? Can I get some? Can I get some? Can I get some? What do you call it? Music that is non-copyrighted. Is that a royalty free? That's the word. Royalty free. Let me see what we got here. I just want to put something on because it is kind of crazy trying to do something, trying to watch something, and then you just got, nothing in the background, which is kind of crazy. And nobody wants to do that. Do I have anything saved already? Please, maybe? No, I do not. DMCA free. Oh, buddy. Let's just put this on and see what we get. All right, let's go. And we're going to adjust the volume. We're going to turn it down just so we got a nice little backing track. I don't know what we're going to get because I've never heard this before. So let me know if it's a little too loud, not loud enough. I don't know what we're going to get here. That looks like it's probably too loud, though, to me. So we're just going to turn it down a bit, and there we go. Hopefully that's about right. So, to start with, breaking. This is actually very, very new news, which came out this morning. Christopher Judge seemingly confirms new combat system in God of War Trilogy Remake. He also seems to confirm new announcements around the summer. That's right, no DMCA. We don't believe in that here. Let's see. We're not subscribing to your newsletter, Game Reactor. Sorry. Sometimes issues arise because voice actors don't quite realize just how hush hush the gaming industry really is. They might say something they don't expect to grab headlines, but it ends up doing exactly that because media and consumers are usually kept so much in the dark regarding games under development. Kratos voice actor Christopher Judge, this is from the, was it 2017, 2018 God of War? The Dad of War, this one, has allegedly spoken with a fan, well, it's on Reddit, at a convention where he seemingly not only confirms that the upcoming God of War trilogy remake, that's the first 3 games, features a new combat system, but also that we will hear more about what we're doing during the summer. This supports previous reports that Cory Barlog will reveal his project this summer, but it does spark some fun speculation about what is actually going on with these projects. It's possible that Judge is also involved in Barlog's project, which is why he refers to it as what we're doing, but at the same time, it's also possible that Sony Santa Monica is also ready to reveal the next mainline God of War game. Finally, it should be noted that while audio of Judge is captured in the clip, which might very well be taken offline soon, we barely see him. He's sitting at a meet and greet booth, but the camera is so far away that it's hard to actually confirm. We are assuming the clip is legitimate, but take it with a grain of salt for now. You can see it for yourself here while the link remains live. Let's see what we get.
A new announcement, and I have to come say hi. Are you playing in the remake?
No, well, it's gonna be TC because it's not a reboot, but they're gonna put all the new technology in it, add more stuff, a new fighting system.
What's going on, Dutch?
Okay.
So that will be TC. The original.
Sorry, who's?
The original guy.
Oh, the original. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you'll be hearing about
where is he even at?
Probably late summer.
Oh, that's so exciting. You didn't play in the Sparta one, right? The new announcement too?
The Sons of Sparta?
Yeah.
Well, that's a kind of 2D thing. That's about Kratos and Deimos, his brother, training to be Sparta.
A new announcement, and I just
So, where is he even at, dude? I don't see him anywhere. He's... Oh, wait. There he is, Christopher Judge. So he's somewhere in this vicinity. Surely he's, like, this is obviously the guy at the con, but I want to hear a Japanese bop. I do like bops. Thanks for coming by, Dutch. If you haven't already, don't forget to follow over on Twitch. I don't know. This seems kind of questionable. Like, it seems like it's him, but I don't actually see him anywhere in the clip, so it's like, okay. But when we come back to this, right, it seems like the most probable thing that they're going to do in terms of a new combat system is they're probably just going to take the stuff from the more recent God of War games and slap it into the old ones, right? So instead of it being a little more, I don't want to say Devil May Cry, but a little more hack and slashy, it's, I don't know how to describe it. If you've never seen gameplay of the original God of War games, like, I don't know how to describe it to you. Let's see. Can we get a little clip? One moment, please. One moment. I just need, you know what, this'll be just fine, and we're gonna mute it and bring it over to here, and we're just gonna jump in. Yeah, this'll work. So one of the things that you'll see here is it's very, not exactly button mashy, but you've only got a few buttons. You've got your jump, your heavy and light attacks, and a button for your magic thing, which right now Kratos, I don't think he has, although it looks like he has the Gorgon head. But literally, like that right there, that's him going light, light, heavy, which you spam a lot on the higher difficulty levels. So this is your sort of combat style that you have, and even later on in the game, you see a lot more of this. Is he really just going to spam that? Yeah. See, you have different combos and things like that you can do, but you're essentially for almost the entire game you're using the same weapon, and it is what it is, right? Whereas, let me go to one of these, and we're just going to jump in to the early game. And let's see if we can find some combat segments. Hello? Thank you. Yeah, I'm not interested in this, which is kind of a spoiler fight. Okay. I always get the bots over on Twitch. My goodness. Let me see here. Okay, here we go. Like, I'm sure you can see how different this is. It's a lot less, I don't know. How would I even describe that? It's a lot less fast-paced, action tappy-tappy and more, I don't know. I almost want to say it's a little more Uncharted. Uncharted is not quite the right word. It's a little more, maybe Souls-like. Yeah, it's slower. It's less fluid. Like, it's not bad by any means. It's just very, very different. And I can't imagine that being the thing that you're doing, really, in the new one. Like, in the remake. Like, it's very different. And not in necessarily a bad way. It's just less... It meshes better with the more mature, Dad of War existence that Kratos is living now versus, when he is like the living embodiment of, anger in the first game. Where that's his whole thing, is he's on a mission to kill Ares. That's what he lives for at that point, literally. So... I don't know. Maybe it'll be good. Maybe it won't. I'm really not sure. I guess we'll see. We will see. What do you guys think? Even Souls-likes can be faster, as seen in Bloodborne or Sekiro, and even the Dark Souls trilogy can be faster. That's true. This just doesn't feel like it is. Like this doesn't feel like a, Bloodborne or something like this. This definitely feels more like Demon Souls. In terms of the newer games, I don't know if I think that that's a great idea. It's one thing if you're playing Mass Effect 3, which has very high APM, fast-paced action, combat style. And then you say, hey, what would be really cool is if you implemented this in Mass Effect 1. Right? That's very different from let's slow things down in this one. It just doesn't seem like it really fits super well to me. But I mean, I could be wrong. There's no telling what we'll get from this. I'm not sure if I'm looking forward to this or excited or what. I mean, God of War 2 has one of my least favorite things in any game in it. And then God of War 3 has such a weird ending. I didn't really care for it. And you know, what makes it worse is the actual combat got better from the first game to the second, and then from the second to the third, right? They completely changed it in the new ones, and that's fine. But the fact that by the third game, one of the things that happens in the end game, I don't want to spoil the story or anything for anyone, but one of the things that happens at the very, very end is you're literally playing Guitar Hero of War. And it just, something about that really annoys me. I don't know. You hope they don't censor anything. Yeah, so do I. I think that a lot of people got really upset, or have gotten upset, about the very brief, sex minigames, which take place very, very early on, which happens, I think, once in the first God of War, right before you get to, I think it's Athens or whatever city it is. And I think it happens in all the games at least once. But it's typically right at the very beginning, and it's literally you press circle a bunch of times to, get some moaning off screen, and then you get some red orbs, some souls, whatever you want to call them, the currency for stuff. It's like, oh, and a lot of people say, oh, well, if that's all it is, do we really need it in the game? The problem with that kind of argumentation is, if that's all it is and it's not that big of a deal, why do you need to cut it from the game? You know what I mean? What value is there in removing the original content, or the content rather, that was originally in a game from it, if ultimately it's not that big of a deal? That seems kind of silly. So, up next, from Mario Nawful on X/Twitter. Wait, what? Arcadia Mayor Eileen Wang's alleged ex-fiancé and campaign advisor just got 4 years for acting as a Chinese agent. And yeah, he helped with her campaign. She's not under investigation, but wow. So we'll watch this here. Not sure if it was intended. The sex minigames and QTEs gave the same QTEs for the bosses. Really? Is that really what happened? I don't remember that. It's been a really long time since I played God of War. I think that I stopped playing the originals when I finished God of War 3. I remember extremely well. I was sitting at my friend's house where he had God of War 3, which I did not. And he made me play the entire game so that he could watch me play the game. And I remember getting really mad about the ending like that. But I do not remember the QTEs being like that. That's really neat if it is. It's a nice little Easter egg.
Arcadia Mayor Eileen Wang not taking questions about the sentencing of a convicted Chinese spy who she once referred to as her boyfriend and fiancé, and who worked on her campaign.
Can you just give us your reaction to the sentence?
Mayor Wang has not been accused of any wrongdoing in connection with this case involving the Chinese spy that began to unfold several years ago. Tuesday's council meeting was the first since the now convicted spy, Yao Ying's son, who also went by Mike's son, was sentenced to 4 years in prison for his covert actions on behalf
Wow. Just wow.
of the Chinese government. The feds say starting in 2020, Sun operated a pro-Chinese Communist Party news website for the Chinese American community. Sun was also directed by Chinese officials to boost the campaign of an unidentified Southern California politician. This is Wang talking about her relationship with Sun at a council meeting from December of 2022.
To my fiancé, Director Mike Sun, who walks streets with me every single day, who is a real leader of me.
After Sun was charged, Wang tried to distance herself from Sun.
Number one, he's not my fiancé. Whoever wants to see he's my fiancé or former fiancé, please prove it.
Please give proof to the thing that I said. Please give proof. Wang commented on her relationship with Sun during a council meeting. To my fiance, Mike's son, who walked streets with me every single day, who was a real leader of me. I thought that was weird as well. Number one, he's not my... Yes. Whoever wants to say he's my former fiance, please prove it. It's like, but you just said that he is. Were you lying when you said that? Which, if you were, like, why? But the thing that gets me, and
Wang talking about her relationship with Sun at a
I just want you to listen to how she talks.
Of 2022.
To my fiancé, Director Mike Sun, who walks streets with me every single day, who is a real leader of me.
Okay. Now, not to put too fine a point on it, and I'm not trying to make fun of this lady at all. You can tell from how she talks. Obviously, she has an accent, and that's fine. It's not the end of the world, right? But you can tell from how she talks, her accent is very heavy, which would indicate that she wasn't, at least it's very likely that she was not born, or maybe I should say raised, in the States. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. I do have some issues with the idea of a foreign national being part of our government at any level. I really don't like that. Whoops, what just happened? Okay, there we go. Which, it's not so much a, oh, we gotta keep the foreigners out, as it is, I don't think that when people gain a position of power within the government, that they should be using that position of power to look out for the best interests of people in other, we'll say, like her example, she's the, was she the mayor? I think it said she's the mayor. Yes, the mayor of Arcadia. She should not be looking out for the best interests of the people in the next town over, or in another state. Like, it's fine if you want to look out for your neighbors, but before you take care of someone else, you have to make sure to take care of yourself. You have to have your own house in order first, right? Her primary focus should be the people of Arcadia, right? Now, we can expand that to the state level and say, well, in California, they should be looking out for the best interests of people in California and worrying a bit less about what's happening to someone in Ohio or in North Carolina or something like that, right? So, moving to a national level, anyone representing the United States, their primary focus should be the best interest of the United States, first and foremost. And I don't like the idea of having people in government who are advancing the interests of another country. And I would feel that way about any other country. I don't want someone in Japan to be looking out for the best interests of the people in the United States. I don't think that the Canadians should be doing what's best for France, etc. Each nation should be doing what's best for their own nation. And a lot of the times people will say, oh, well, you know, that's just going to lead to the infighting and thing, or not necessarily infighting, but fighting amongst other countries. You don't like people with friends or family to be in politics. Might look out for their kin and allies before they look out for their town, state. Yes, I agree. I do not like the highly. I'm pretty sure nepocratic isn't a word, but I don't like that there's so much nepotism within our government either. Like, I think that when you're in government, it's not so much a job as it is a duty. You're doing your civic duty. It's almost like being a soldier. It's very different because you're probably not going to die in battle, probably, but you're there for one specific thing. You're not there to receive all of these great accolades and to get a bunch of money and enrich yourself and all of that. You're there to serve the interests of the public, the people who pay your salary, the people who voted you into office, the people that you are there to represent. And if you're not going to do that, fine, get out of office. I don't like that at all. I remember there was a story, I think it was either early last year or the end of 2024, so around the election, the presidential election, where there was a Democratic, I think it was a representative, who had just had a baby and decided that the thing to do to make her argument was to bring her baby with her into the chambers to give a speech talking about how what she wanted to do was make it so that female representatives, I don't know if it extends to senators or not, but she wanted them to be able to essentially telecommute and be able to sit in on committee meetings or votes or whatever electronically from a distance so that they could raise their family and stuff like that. And people being able to raise their families is really important. It's really good, but if you choose to have a family during the time that you're in office, the appropriate thing to do is to step down. It's not that the government needs to bend over backwards in order to accommodate you so that you can represent the people. It's you that needs to sort your life out so that you can represent your people and do your job. It seems kind of silly to me, but whatever. Anyways, I don't like the idea, as I was saying, I don't like the idea of a foreign national being in a public office stateside. Very, very particularly China, because I don't like the idea of them using their influence to further the goals of whatever country, whatever foreign country they're from. And I say specifically with China because it's sort of well known that obviously the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, controls the entire country. And anything that you say, if it is, if it's negative, oh, I didn't know I had a stream bot. That's crazy. Do I really? Okay. They're very well known. There is no real opposition to the CCP in China. If there is any opposition, it's definitely controlled, because China is one of the leading countries. I don't think it's number one anymore, but it is one of the top countries for when it comes to arresting people for statements that they make on social media, which means realistically they don't really have free speech, because the number is so high, and it's surely not just, hi, I know that you're calling me, but I can't answer your call right now because I'm in the middle of streaming. So yeah, have a good one. Sorry about that. She's gonna be like, why are you streaming? You know that I'm gonna call you. So another part of it is in China, they don't let you leave the country unless you make, you know, certain promises and things like that. And there's plenty of accounts of this as well. And there are a lot of people who, you know, they go to leave the country, and the thing that's keeping them in line is the threats that the CCP has against their own family members, whether it's, you know, their relatives, their mother, or, you know, a cousin or something like that, where, you know, if they step out of line, or if they don't do, you know, what the CCP wants them to do in insert other country here, you know, maybe they imprison their family, or they kill their family, or, you know, they do whatever. So, and I only mention that here because her accent is so heavy that it's clear that she was not, quote unquote, raised in America. Because if she were, the accent might still be there, but it would not be so heavy. Even if she was brought here as a young child, you know, or as a teenager, she wouldn't sound like this. And so it makes me question the idea of what sorts of ties she has to the CCP, especially when the real leader of her and her fiance, or former fiance.
He's not my fiancé. Whoever wants to see he's my fiancé or former fiancé, please give proof it.
Please give proof it. Because she has a direct tie to someone who is a CCP spy, I don't like the idea of her being in this government position. And like I said, I feel the same way about anyone who is not a natural-born citizen of insert country here. They should not be representing that specific country in public office. That's just my opinion. You know, and some people will say, "Oh, that's a far right-wing opinion." I don't really think that it is. I think that that's just a regular opinion. Which, for anyone that wants to know, I'll just say it straight up. I am neither left nor right, particularly. I have a lot of feelings about the idea of authority versus liberty, where, you know, I think that we need to have government, because if we have no rules, everyone's just basically going to tear each other apart. That's dumb. We need a certain level of rules to keep people in line, and obviously we need someone there to be able to enforce those rules, right? Whether it's a sheriff or whatever. And if they're doing that, they obviously need some form of income to be able to, you know, raise their own families, which leads us into, you know, taxation and things like that. I think a certain level of taxation is fine, but anyways, point being, I think that rules are there for a reason, most of them anyway, and that we need to follow those rules as best we can. And if the rules are dumb or no longer good or valid, then, you know, we need to look at, you know, maybe trying to get rid of them or repeal them. But until such point as we do that, just follow the rules, all right? Otherwise, I largely believe in individual rights and freedoms. I think that free speech is pretty important. I'm not an absolutist, but my thoughts can essentially be summed up as the line is, for free speech is, you should not be allowed to directly call for violence or for someone to commit a crime. And other than that, have at it. You want to pop off with the, you know, a bunch of slurs or whatever, that's your right. You can do that. But that doesn't mean that there won't be any consequences for that. It just means that the government can't stop you from doing that. And if the consequences of that are, you know, social ostracization or whatever, then, you know, so be it. That's up to them. But I don't think that people should be able to interfere with your ability to say things and have opinions and stuff like that and voice them, which I kind of talked about a little bit with that whole critical role thing. But anyways, I am not a Democrat. I am not a Republican. I'm just a guy. But one of the things that I saw in this that I thought was interesting Was it on the previous thing? Might have been on one of these. This one, maybe? The United States used Ukraine to antagonize Russia. Yeah, this is something that I do worry about. California is a little too chummy with China. Even if she didn't know anything, she could have said things to him. Yes, exactly. There's something I'm specific... Here it is. The town of Arcadia is also where... Or city. I don't know if it's a city or a town. But Arcadia is where the surrogate mother house was. And this was a big deal. And this is this article. 21 children, all with surrogate mothers, taken from Arcadia couple. Not couples. Couple. One pair of people amid investigation. Arcadia, California. An Arcadia couple's 21 children, all from surrogate mothers, have been placed in protective custody amid an investigation. Arcadia police stumbled upon a house on Camino Real Avenue while investigating a child abuse case involving a 2-month-old suffering a traumatic head injury. After getting a search warrant, detectives seized security cameras from inside the home and made some alarming discoveries. We discovered numerous children, 15 children to be specific, ranging in ages from 2 months old to 13 years old, Arcadia Police Lieutenant Colin Ciadlo, I don't know how you pronounce that, said. Many of the children were birthed through surrogacy, and then the male and female at the residence took legal guardianship of those kids, Ciadlo added. 6 other children, investigators say, had been moved to other homes. All 21 of the kids were confirmed to be the children of 65-year-old Wojun Xuen and 38-year-old Sylvia Zhang. They were arrested for felony child endangerment but later released. Police have also issued an arrest warrant for their nanny, 56-year-old Chunmei Li. Investigators say after looking at surveillance videos, she is the main suspect in the child abuse case and is still on the loose. The discipline, both verbally and physical, was severe to the point where it supported the beliefs that child abuse was occurring inside the home, Ciadlo said. Sources told Eyewitness News, this is ABC just to be clear, that of the 21 children, 17 are 3 years old or younger. That's very specific. Police say all 21 children are in the custody of Department of Children and Family Services. Where did all these children come from? That is what the FBI is trying to figure out. The Bureau refused to comment on the case, but Arcadia Police confirmed that the detectives are working with the FBI. Arcadia's investigation, though, determined that the children are the product of a surrogacy operation owned by Zhang and Xuen. No charges have been filed. The Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office is not commenting on the case. It's horrific, it's disturbing, it's damaging emotionally, said Kayla Elliott, one of the surrogate mothers hired by Zhang and Xuen. She says they told her they only had one other child. She's now hoping to get custody of the child that she had for the couple. These agencies, we're supposed to trust them and follow their guidance, and come to find out this whole thing was a scam and the parents own the agency. That was not disclosed at all beforehand, Elliott said. Anything goes, and these clinics, these agencies, are not regulated by any governing body, said Callie Fell, executive director of the nonprofit Center of Bioethics and Culture. Fell is working with Elliott. She says having more than 20 children through surrogates is not illegal, but that it raises serious questions as to why people would do that. That, to me, smells of trafficking. Child trafficking, Fell said. What are the intentions of having that many children at home through these assisted reproductive technologies? To me, what it sounds like, and I know this is going to sound crazy, this sounds like some Manchurian Candidate nonsense, where you have a kid and you take custody of them who is an American citizen, and then you raise them in a certain way, and then you get them to you get them into office or do something like that. And one of the things that a lot of people have talked about is the idea, or I say a lot of people, I've heard at least one independent journalist talk about the idea about the, I think it's the 14th Amendment, or maybe the 15th, that is birthright citizenship. And the idea that there are people who could come here from another country and just have their kid, maybe they're on vacation or whatever, and they're physically present in the States, they have their child. Well, because it's born here, the child is automatically a citizen of the United States, natural born citizen. And they just sort of go off to whatever country, in this case China, and they raise them in a certain culture, a certain way of believing, or under a certain political doctrine. And then when they come of age, they come back here and they get them into office and they push the agenda of whatever country that might happen to be. Which, again, is one of the reasons why I'm so against the idea of foreign sort of influence and interference in our political process. And that goes as far as things like PACs and stuff like that. I don't like the idea of, here's a hot button one, I don't like the idea of us having Israel involved in our politics through AIPAC. Like, I understand you want the United States to do things that are beneficial for you, but that should be a decision made by the American people and not you funneling money in through a group that lets you, funnel money into the political campaigns of politicians that happen to agree with the thing that you want to do. I don't like that at all. And if I could ever get into power, literally, if I could be dictator for one day, I would be getting rid of a lot of stuff like that. Just one day. But of course, that will never happen. If I could get into a legislative office, I would be bringing law. Yeah. I understand America and Israel have been allies for a very long time, and that's true. But I would prefer that we make sure that any friendship that we have is of our own choosing and not them paying off people to continue to be their friends, or vice versa. A lot of people have said that, Ukraine was like an American puppet state in Europe and stuff like that. I don't like that either, just to be clear. But yeah, I would love to see us get things like single item bills in Congress so that we don't get things filled with pork. So it's like, if you don't fund, if we don't fund the government gets shut down. But one of the things that's listed in the government funding, what was it called? A continuing resolution is, hey, let's give free insurance to the tune of, $1 trillion or whatever amount it was to illegal immigrants. Well, I have thoughts on that too, but whatever. We should not be able to fill things with, you voted, you said that you wanted to continue funding the government, but you voted against child cancer research. It's like, what? Why did you tie child cancer research to this? Like, get your life together, dude. If you're supposed to be voting on, whether or not we're gonna, I don't know, fund another year of war in Ukraine, we probably shouldn't be tying other stuff to that, and it should just be about that thing. So I like the idea of single item bills. I would very much like to see, American, specifically natural born American citizens only being in office, not just for, I think it's president and maybe vice president. What else? Getting rid of foreign political influence. That would be a big one. I would also like to see an end to lobbying and stuff like that, but I don't think that's ever going to happen. There's a lot of things I would like to do, but I'm just a guy, and it will probably never happen. USA wins gold. I don't really care. Something that's very big to me is fairness. I understand that we live in a world that isn't fair. It is very capricious. And things happen. Good things happen to bad people, and bad things happen to good people. And we can't control that. But one of the things that we can control is our own actions and behaviors, right? And I think that to the best of our ability, we should choose to do so. So, here's one from Kaizen D. Siadu. I asked students at UCLA about slavery. Only one got every answer right. UCLA is a top university. This is why young Americans hate the West. This is actually quite old. I didn't realize that. But this just popped up for me.
Approximately when did slavery start?
Oh, a long time ago. I would say like 1200, 1300.
What civilization first started it? Like what people first started it?
I think it was a European country.
When did slavery start?
Around 1700,
So 1700, and where did it start?
like in California.
Chattel slavery?
Yeah, chattel slavery.
Yeah, I think the 1600s.
What was the first civilization to start practicing chattel slavery?
I have no idea. I guess the United States?
I'm at UCLA to ask students about their knowledge of the history of slavery. And the reason I'm doing this is because I have a hypothesis that people have a very selective understanding of the history of slavery and the West's role in it. So approximately when did slavery start?
I feel like it started ever since people came to be. People have always wanted to separate other people from power
Oh,
and domination.
you did not hear anything I just said.
Here since
Yeah, I read that. I'm dumb. What I done said was the auto mod. The AI auto mod, which I don't like that at all, flagged it for hate and deleted it. Said, I mean, I already know that most Americans don't know much about slavery. I agree, they don't. I really wish that I knew how to turn off that auto mod, please and thank you, because I don't like that at all. I think about the only thing that I would moderate in terms of speech in this chat is slurs. Anything else, I don't really care.
Should I tell her she's right? You're so right. I'm very impressed. Yep.
Hang on, what's she right about?
And the West's role in it. So approximately when did slavery start?
I feel like it started ever since people came to be. People have always wanted to separate other people from power and domination. I feel like that has been like here since forever.
Should I tell her she's right?
Correct.
You're so right. I'm very impressed. Yes, it goes back at least as early as 9000 BC. When the European settlers went to Africa and they captured slaves, how did they do that?
Probably forceful, brought them over on boats back to the North American continent.
Yes, slavery is as old as humanity.
I assume violent.
I'm not going to say that they were the first people that were enslaved, but I think a lot of people forget that, at least biblically, the Jewish people were enslaved.
That's my only thing.
An institution was already somewhat present there, and then they just kind of took over that as an institution, being the dominant power, being that they had, like, you know, guns and whatnot.
That's a good, I never thought about that. I don't know. I mean, I would say it was by force.
I think they were already caught and sold by other people in Africa.
You're correct. Europeans actually couldn't really survive in Africa because it was a completely different environment, malaria, all this stuff would kill them. So they actually bought them from other Africans. So African tribes were fighting African tribes, and then they would sell the slaves. So you didn't know that, right?
I did not know that. Yeah.
You're aware that it goes back pretty far.
Were you aware that pretty much like every civilization practiced it?
I guess since it was a global thing, it was somewhat culturally accepted across different countries and geographic locations. So we lived at that timeline. It was like, oh, it's just part of life, you know. But now it's obviously like, like what are we doing, you know?
That's really perceptive. You're the first person to acknowledge that. Yeah, if we lived at that time, it was very normal, right? There, but for the grace of God go I. How do I know I wouldn't have been participating in it? Do you know which civilization was the first to lead the abolition movement?
I don't.
Ooh. I mean, as a Native American, I feel like, you know, the Tainos.
I don't know who.
I'll have to dig around looking for that.
It's all good. Yeah. You're thinking about it though, and that's what we want people to think about it. Yeah, so it was actually the British Empire started the abolition movement. Back then, they were very powerful. They controlled about a quarter of the planet. Not only did they end it in the British Empire, they forced other empires to end it too. Hi. Awesome. What's your name?
Hi.
Nice to meet you, Kyla. Everyone practiced it, is what you're essentially saying. Do you think most people recognize that everyone practiced it?
I don't think so. I think a lot of people fail to realize that a lot of people were doing it just like as a basic income of thing, whether we learned it from Europeans or we just learned it because it was easy. I think it's good enough to just say that like everyone was doing it, and we also can just learn instead of like.
Correct.
I know as a black female, it's just kind of like we want to save our identity, but it's kind of we also have to know what we did to.
Pretty much every civilization practiced it.
Which we do.
This is important because there isn't much evidence for the practice prior to the invention / discovery of agriculture. Wow. It's almost like making other people do the work is a thought that everybody has had.
But kind of just understand both front forward kind of spaces.
If people realize that every skin color practiced slavery against pretty much every other skin color, and that the British Empire were the first to really end it, do you think that would help race relations or hurt it?
It could possibly help. I feel like if people understood that everyone for years have been just practicing slavery, where it's modernized or not, I feel like we can like have some sense of ground that we are some.
How would that improve race, or how would that hurt race relations? It's not exactly abolishment, but in the days of Rome, a slave could earn his freedom as gladiator. I mean, that's true, but they could also set their slaves free here in America and other places as well. It's more the idea of removing it as sort of an institution, I think.
Sometimes our own bullies are our own kind of like just haters sometimes, so it's kind of like, I feel like it could help for people to take a look in and be like, oh, we are... You know, we've done stuff too. We all just can't play victim and be like, we deserve everything, but just kind of take a step back. So it could help.
You are so wise. Thank you for your time. That was amazing. You did great.
You know, if more people knew more history, we would just have a more educated society. History informs you a lot about cause and
Wow, you don't say.
effect. So if you can see like what different causes do to different people, that's really important for like voting or you know, making decisions in your day-to-day life too. I think it's really important, and also to decrease hate, I think, of a lot of people, especially Western history, because I think people hate a lot without the substantial facts.
Amen. All right, so that was a full day of talking to UCLA students about the topic of slavery, which you know, I'm honestly surprised at how inspired I feel, because things are not as bad as I thought. And there's definitely a lot of work, but I think the most common denominator I saw among these students was that people were open-minded, and they weren't looking to fight. They weren't looking to insist a point. They were actually listening. I felt inspired by that. At the very end, we had a conversation with a guy, Abraham, on the French horn. And he pointed out what was the ulterior motive behind this, to be honest, which is to get people to just think more deeply about history, to reduce the level of hatred and hostility toward ourselves, toward other groups, and toward our nation, and toward our intellectual tradition. And if people get just that away from this video, even if you disagree with everything else that I'm saying, I think that's a dub for humanity. And I'm glad that we did this. This was fun. And I plan to keep on doing more.
I'm not sure if I believe these remarks here, talking about how, you know, most people...
Topic of slavery. which
were
I'm honestly surprised at how inspired I feel, because things are not as bad as I thought, and there's definitely a lot of work, but which I'm honestly surprised at how inspired. All right, so that was a
he's talking about how he was surprised and there wasn't that much hate and blah blah blah, and people had really open minds. I question whether or not that was actually true, or if it's just edited to look that way. I wonder if he'll mention that slaves historically were more like assets than employees. Apparently not. For example, over here in Germany, it's very common for history classes to visit concentration camps. I don't think that former slave farms or any of that sort ever get visited by the American school system, or at least not that I know of. I'm not positive on that one. Where I live, there's not a whole lot of that exists. Though there is a place that I did go to several times that once upon a time was something like that. But I don't remember if they made us go to that for school because of that, or if it was the other, sort of historical significance of the place, which I'd have to look into. I don't remember. I'll have to look into that. Because I'm pretty sure it used to be like a plantation or something like that. Here in the U.S., it is very common for people to get married at former slave plantations. Oh my God. It's not even just that. It's becoming more common especially for people that are, oh yeah, you're right. The big estates. Yeah. You're correct. 100%. One of the things that I've been seeing a lot of, especially when it's a white woman with a black male, is a lot of, like, this is so bad, like slavery cosplay marriages, like for the themes. Let me see if I can quickly find that. No. I suppose this would do for the purposes of what I'm trying to do. Uh-oh. 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 1 second. 1 second. Having some problems in my back end, as they say. Okie dokie. Where did I put that? Right here. Okay. Let me see if this is what I'm looking for. Yes. Okay, here we go. Which, we'll just turn this back on because I don't want to listen to this. It is cursed, yes. Feels like some boomer humor, the old ball and chain. I don't think that that's necessarily what it is. We'll listen to this as well. There's a lot of stuff like this on the internet. I don't like her bright purple lipstick and her drawn-on eyebrows. I'm sure there's more than just this. This was like a thing almost like a fad or trend, I guess, a few years ago, where there was a lot more of this. Let's see. Let's bring up the Google search. Hopefully we don't get anything crazy and out of pocket. This is a completely different couple, by the way. I think. So we've got these people who were the ones actually in the video there, but this is a different couple as far as I know. This is the same group. These are the same people. That doesn't have anything to do with it. I'm surprised that this is all the stuff that I could find, because I remember a couple of years ago I saw a lot more of this. Like a lot more. But I don't like this. It's a little questionable. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It is a bit much. Like, I get the, oh, you know, we're going for the style of the Oregon Trail, and she's gonna get bit by a snake, and I'm gonna die of diphtheria. Like, okay, fine, but literally, he's got the shackles on and stuff. That's a bit far, I think. And I say this as someone who is obviously the product of an interracial relationship myself. But I don't like that. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't like that at all. Okay, what else we got today? We just uncovered something insane in Dearborn, Michigan. Let me refresh this. Massive potential fraud taking place in disabled adult foster care homes. The owners, Nigerian. The staff, Nigerian. No education, no experience. Immigrated to the United States via H-1B and planted into dozens of homes to care for disabled adults. The twist, half of these homes were empty during peak hours. Still billing taxpayers at max capacity. Hundreds of thousands. One Nigerian staffer told us directly, quote, "We need money. We work like a slave and be rich in our country." This is just part 1 of 3. You will not believe what other state this network operates in. I gave everyone at my wedding dysentery for the Oregon Trail vibes, but I guess slave fighting is similar. Someone also, yeah, someone has to die of dysentery. And you have to have your wagon wheel break as well.
One of the things that...
Oh my god, people die of dysentery. And Oregon Trail is crazy, especially when you realize that that's literally just, they pooped themselves to death.
Today, we've knocked on the door and there's just no answer. So like we were just wondering, like if this house is registered, you know, with 6 patients.
Let's see what we get with this.
And all the other ones are too, most of the time. There's no one there, so I was wondering how that works. Like, are there locations where they're just not operating? Because this was like 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so you'd think that'd be peak hours. Not possible.
Thank you, Nick Shirley, for bringing us this type of content. I don't care who does it. Find out people doing this, lock them up.
So we're here at the ADA headquarters. They have about a dozen adult disabled healthcare homes in their network. We came to check it out. Completely empty offices, and they get hundreds of thousands of dollars. How many homes are there in this area? You're not familiar with that? Okay. Are you guys familiar with receiving over $600,000 in 2023 in grants from the government?
I don't know anything. Of course, I'm not involved in that. I don't know anything about it. Yes, this looks like the kind of place where that would be going on.
So this
Adult
is a
health care.
foster care facility.
Foster care, excuse me.
Just another one under the umbrella.
It's a big house, but
I'm unsure of how much they're getting in funding quite yet. We submitted a FOIA request, so hopefully we hear back on that soon. This is just one of.
That's a nice car over there.
Underneath this Josephine chick. So we're gonna keep going to the next locations. No one answered, which you'd think, you know, it's 4 o'clock on a Friday that they'd be bumping, especially if they have, you know, disabled adults in there. You'd think they'd have, you know, some sort of people on staff.
Especially in the early afternoon, 100%.
It's getting federal funding, and there's
Mm-hmm.
One of the fascinating aspects of Nick Shirley's investigation in Minnesota is how blatantly obvious the fraud was. The Somalis, with an average IQ of roughly 68, executed widespread fraud with zero effort.
Private companies defrauding the taxpayer. They would never.
That is not how fraud operations typically go. It is usually much more complex, with shell companies, multiple partnerships, etc., etc. The tips submitted by so many of you allowed my team to stumble upon something that has the potential to be even bigger right here in Wayne County, Michigan. Specifically, cities like Dearborn and Detroit. Every year, hundreds of thousands of taxpayer dollars flow into adult foster care homes in Dearborn, Michigan. What we found was many of these homes are run by Nigerians who immigrated to the United States. They are part of a network controlled by a single administrator. On paper, these homes exist to care for vulnerable adults. In reality, they are part of a system built to harvest public money while residents are left at risk. Empty beds, minimal staff, safety violations ignored, resident funds
So my mom, as you might have noticed from my goals, which donations, again, always appreciated but never required. I'm not going to ask. I'm not going to shill. I'm not going to beg. I'm not DSP. But it's going towards helping pay for my mom's assisted living bills. Stuff like this really pisses me off. The idea that there are people who are making tons and tons of money for providing for services that they didn't provide. I really hate this because stuff like that could be going to people like my mom to help her.
managed. And yet, government grants keep flowing.
Not
One
happy.
mailbox was literally a hole in a cinder block wall covered with duct tape and cardboard with the word mail written in Sharpie. At one of these homes, the smoke alarm
I'm sorry. That's like the most official mailbox I've ever seen. It just says mail.
was chirping non-stop. That is not a joke.
Then that's just one of the things.
A dead battery in a care home. If you cannot charge a battery, how can you be trusted to give pills on
Usual suspects.
time, or clean the kitchen, or maintain sanitation, and even keep people safe? You can't, as evidence in this report here, and this one here, and this one here, just to name a few. How can families trust you with the lives of their loved ones? ADA Homes provides the housing.
If the company is committing fraud and they go under as a result of being found out, these people get evicted and onto the street. If you're talking about the people that live there that are supposed to be having care provided, that's really bad. If you mean the people that are participating in it, I don't care. That's what they deserve. And you get that, for example, your grandparents used to be foster parents for kids. Yeah, exactly.
DACO provides the staffing, and Abori provides the services. All controlled from one office. All billing the same Medicaid programs. All inside the same Nigerian-run business circle. Again, 3 companies, 3 streams of taxpayer money. Daisy chaining, seemingly, to pull more money than a single company could. And here is what we noticed. Every single employee we...
Well, I mean, it looks like, based on just what little I've seen, there's probably not any people that do live there. Like, if you show up to the office and there's nothing there, it's probably just oh, hey, we say that there's people here, but they're really not. We're not going to let them in. I mean, maybe there are. I don't know, but...
encountered was Nigerian. When we asked how they found this job, what they did before, it didn't matter. The answer was always the same.
Okay. Stop. We're going to come back. This right here is super suspicious. To me. If this is supposed to be something that's intended to be like a place of business or something similar, this guy in particular, this is not how you answer the door for something like that. With this vague look of confused suspicion, right? When people show up and, you're one of these facilities, maybe they're there to ask questions, maybe it's like an interview for like a news station or whatever, or, maybe they're an inspector or there's someone looking to place someone there. The correct thing to do, if you are a legitimate business, is, hi, how can I help you? Or something like that. You can tell from their body language that these people are guarded. I can't really see this individual at all.
Didn't matter.
But like this? You're talking to someone through the screen? No.
The answer was always the same.
You need money. You work like a slave and be rich in our country.
And this isn't isolated. We've already found...
Yeah, I agree. It's probably not.
Michigan, operating the same way. So when people say the problem didn't start or end in Minnesota, they may be right. This isn't about one home. It's about a system built to exploit taxpayers while putting vulnerable adults at risk. The question is simple. Is this network built to care for vulnerable adults or built to harvest Medicaid dollars through a corporate machine?
I wonder which one it could be. You only mention it because it happened elsewhere. It's about to know about a specific case. Residents have been evicted because they're... Oh, really? What happens to them? Do they get placed somewhere else? Or is it just fucking you figure it out?
Action to this. I just finished watching the final version of the video that you just watched. And my inbox received a tip that is going to blow your mind. It's going to blow your mind. The connection that this Nigerian network has to another very popular state. Let's just say that. We are starting immediately the work on part 2, and it'll be out extremely soon. Just stay tuned.
Why don't you just tell me all of it? Major breaking. Michigan Senator Eric Nesbitt is making a massive announcement tomorrow based on my investigation into Nigerian adult disabled foster care homes in Dearborn. I note that I don't see the updates on this. Oh, hey. Nick Shirley. Where's the other videos? You're right. It isn't the residents' fault. You are 100% correct. It's really fucked up. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I mean, that's true as well. These things should be happening a lot more quickly. What is this? Tom Homan, Joe Biden was the first president that came into office and unsecured the border on purpose. I don't remember what this clip is.
Democrats did this. I mean, it was not just
oh, hey, it's Bill Maher. I like Bill Maher. Mostly, I like Bill Maher. Sometimes he says some really dumb things, but for the most part, Bill Maher is a pretty reasonable guy. Mostly. So we'll see what he has to say here.
Liberals understand that now. It was also bad politically. Why? What was
I get asked that all the time. I don't understand. I worked for 6 presidents, starting with Ronald Reagan. Every president I worked for, even Clinton, Obama, took some steps to secure the border because they understood you can't have strong national security if you don't have border security. No one did it better than President Trump. Like him or love him, most successful when it comes to border security and the safety of this nation, no one's done it better. Joe Biden's the first president in the history of this nation that came in office and unsecured the border on purpose. There wasn't an accident. It wasn't.
Why? Why?
I don't really know. The only thing I can guess is they saw a future political benefit from letting millions of people in the United States, whether they thought they were future Democratic voters. But remember, when he signed 90 executive orders destroying everything we did, he also overturned the Trump census rule, which means millions of people released in sanctuary cities will be counted in the next census. What's that mean? More seats in the House for the Dems. There's no other reason. Because I asked every Democrat I ever talked to, what's the downside in a secure border? What's the downside in less illegal drugs killing Americans? What's the downside in less sex trafficking of women and children? What's the downside in less terrorists coming across the country? What's the downside? They can't give you a downside. So they must have saw future political benefit.
I wonder. Really, all I can say on something like that, it is true that the census counts how many people are there and not citizens. So it seems most probable that this is a way to manipulate apportionment to get more seats in Congress. But I don't know. Okay, that's kind of funny. But what is this? Who the hell is Elisa Liu, and why do I care? I don't know who this is. Oh, okay. I think I get it. Is she the Chinese woman who came to skate for the United States while we had an American woman, which I think is maybe Eileen Gu, I don't know, who went over to skate for China? I forget which one is which. Anyways, I don't remember why I had this, but there you go. I like Tom Homan so far. He seems to conduct himself with a certain level of, I don't necessarily want to call it professionalism, but he seems like a very straight shooter, and I respect that a lot. Like, as I've said before, I'm a big fan of following the laws, regardless of whether or not you think they're dumb. I have the distinct honor to say that we lost white population. Former New York Rep. Charles Barron. Listen to the crowd's reaction. I don't know what this clip is from. Just to be clear, I haven't watched any of the things that I've pulled up here today. At all. This is straight shooting from the hip. That lady's glasses are crazy. Mm-hmm.
So if you see 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 whites in my neighborhood, they're passing through. But that's on a serious note. We got 13,000 black elected officials in this country. We've had mayors, we've had governors, we have city council members. We need to get radical. I have the distinct.
I don't know how much of this you heard, so I'll play it one more time. I don't think that that's a good thing. You don't want to be losing population in your city, because that means you're losing your tax base. It doesn't matter what their racial demographic is. Also, what's with this Chairman Mao looking outfit? This lady looks like she looks like she's probably half black. She's mixed. She is like the black side of my maternal grandmother's coin. They look very similar, down to the shitty hair and the big, goofy, ugly ass looking glasses. She looks a lot like my grandmother. Like, a lot. But my grandmother on my mom's side was mostly white. I see that it hit you again. Yeah, I mean, they saw how much a demographic matters after Trump got the vast majority of white voters. Homeostasis, keep population constant. Well, realistically, you want the population of the city to go up. Or at least, well, no, you want it to go up. You don't want it to stay the same. You want it to go up just a little. That's the ideal. You want small bits of growth. Steady and predictable so that nobody feels like it's getting too crowded or there's too many people or whatever. I think that New York City probably, exploded too quickly. I don't know how it's flagging you, Lucian. I don't understand that either. Let me take a look. What does that one say? I'm curious. Watch it call that hate. It did? It's what it says. AI mod for hate. How is that hate? Is it because you said Trump, or is it because you said demographic or white voters? Racists. Okay, yeah, that wasn't it. I don't know. That's crazy. Yeah, I don't like this. I don't like the idea that people should be intentionally trying to push, racial segregation or something like that. Like, oh, we got to get all these white people out of here, or all these, Hispanics or Asians or whatever. I don't like that. I think it's down to assimilation. Are you part of their culture or are you not? And if you're not, cool. See ya. Okay, so we've got a story on... This one's fairly new. This one happened today, or at least the news was released today, or the information on it. This article is today. 9 people arrested in France over the death of a far-right student. Air quotes, far-right. I don't know if the guy is far-right or not. I just know that people like to call people far-right. You don't really hear that much about the far-left, air quotes. But it seems like if you're not part of the sort of mainstream, I guess we'll say Democrat, question mark, that sort of thing, the mainstream political whatever, then you are far-right. You have to march in lockstep with them. It was Antifa that beat him to death, wasn't it? Well, you're about to find out. Wonder if AI allows this. Oh. So this is Count Dankula. He's a wee Scotsman. I've been watching a little bit of his content lately. I came across him through Gundam with the, oh no, what happened? Oh no. This is that guy. And it turns out that on his second channel, he does he yaps about stuff. So I don't know what we're gonna get because his content is a bit spicy. So we'll find out. Yes, I am very new to Dankula. I have watched one of his videos on his regular channel, which was actually super interesting about Juggernaut theory. And it was talking about why in India there's so many people that die because they got hit by trains. I thought that was really fascinating. AI did not allow it, in fact. Did not allow what? I don't see anything. Let me take a look. Let's see if you got auto-modded. Yeah, no, there's no message there at all. That's crazy. That's crazy.
An update in regards to the latest Antifa murder. Now I know
he got suspended for teaching his dog a certain trick. Yes, he did. I heard about that.
It says here 9 arrested in France over death of far-right student, and they had to throw that little far-right in there.
Yeah, we'll leave it right there.
Oh, they beat a student to death, but he was far-right. Don't worry, it's okay. It's okay, he was far-right, so it's okay that they killed him. It says 9 arrested. Apparently there's been 11 arrested now in total.
Oh, that's a different number entirely.
France following an investigation into the murder of a far-right nationalist. They have to make sure to throw that point in. You know, they want to make sure, like, yeah, okay, we're reporting on the news, but don't feel bad for the guy. He wanted to protect his people and his nation, right?
Is he a far-right nationalist? I don't know the answer. What I know about this guy is that he was trying to protect a woman at some sort of feminist march or protest or something like that, and he got surrounded by people that were at the time identified as Antifa, and they beat him to death. So that's what I'm coming into this with. I know that's all I know.
So yeah, okay, they killed him, but he was far right, so don't feel too bad about it. Student by suspected militants from the far left are suspected. So basically, the student was definitely a far-right nationalist, but the other, we suspect they might have been militants from the far. They beat a man to death. They fucking beat a man to death. Those detained include a parliamentary assistant for a deputy from the radical left France Unbowed LFI party.
So someone, parliamentary assistant for a deputy. So this is someone who's part of the government that did this? Or one of the people that did this was part of the government? I don't know what it means to be a parliamentary assistant for a deputy. Is this like when you say deputy, is it police deputy or is it like deputy mayor? You know what I mean? I don't know the answer. So yeah.
And as we just covered in the last video on this subject, they were like, oh, we're very, very sorry, but we're going to, like, disband. And I was like, yeah, holy shit. Quentin Durang, a 23-year-old math student, died in hospital on Saturday, 2 days after being beaten and kicked about the head by a gang of masked young men in Lyon. It happened after a small demonstration by far-right feminists.
That seems like a little bit of an oxymoron. Traditionally, feminism is largely described as a progressive, sort of left-aligned, air quotes, ideology. So, interesting.
Never a phrase I thought I would hear. Who Durang was supposed to be helping protect at the city's Institute of Political Studies, commonly known as Sciences Po. The arrest confirmed what has widely been reported, that those suspected of the murder are far-left militants linked to a banned group called La Jeune Garde, or the Young Guard. The most striking news is that among the men in custody is Jacques-Élie Favreau, a young man who until now has been employed as parliamentary assistant at the National Assembly in Paris for a deputy from LFI.
Oh, so he is an assistant to someone from this, for this party. Okay, got it.
Putting huge pressure on LFI on its 70 MPs.
70 MPs, that's a lot, isn't it?
Jean-Luc Mélenchon, who is a likely contender in next year's presidential election. Well, his little goon squads have just killed a man. On Sunday, Mélenchon said his party had nothing to do with this story. Those who accuse us are committing libel.
I mean, it sounds like his party does have something to do with it, but maybe he means like the party, capital P, and not just a person who is a member of that party. You know, lowercase p.
Well, it turned out it was one of your own assistants who did it. And it's weird that one of your own assistants would just think that's an okay thing to do, just go up and, like, beat a man to death.
Yeah, that's not
Very,
good.
Very interesting, that, isn't it? We express our consternation, but also our empathy and compassion for Durang's family and friends, even though it was your goons that fucking killed him. We have said dozens of times that we oppose all forms of violence, he said. On Monday, State Prosecutor Thierry Dran told a news conference that Durang was kicked and punched by at least 6 individuals, and that the post-mortem examination showed fatal damage to his skull and brain. So basically, they've all been arrested now. Some people might go, yeah, they've been arrested. However, remember, this is France. It's a very, very left-wing. Well, sorry, the government in France is very, very
Yeah,
left-wing.
that's
The
true.
people,
It is.
Not so much anymore. But don't be surprised if these people get away with it. Don't be surprised, and even if they do get convicted, it's going to be a little tiny slap on the wrist. Because
There is a lot of that going around in the world lately. And I don't think it's a left or right thing. I think that a lot of the times you see people who simply aren't receiving the appropriate punishment for the crime that they committed. And a big part of it is the idea that, oh, well, you know, we have to have empathy for the perpetrator. You know, it's they you don't understand their life circumstances and their lived experience and their trauma, and you know, it would be unfair for us to punish someone who was, you know, affected by this, that, or the other. And it's like, I don't really care. In this case, they killed this guy. Unless he, you know, was trying to hurt people or something, there's no reason for them to do that to him. And they'll say, oh, well, you know, he was trying to hurt people with his words, with his speech. His very speech is violence, and I don't like that, because speech is violence, but then our violence is speech. Well, then everything is violence. It's stupid. The idea, what is it? Speech is violence, silence is violence, but violence is speech. You know, I don't like that. And you see a whole lot of like, oh, here's someone who, you know, they had a rap sheet of, you know, 56 convictions or arrests or whatever, and you know, we just kept letting them go and letting them go and letting them go, and now someone's ended up dead. I don't like that. Yes, France is very left-leaning. The government certainly is. I think that their people are going a bit to the right, to the point where, not Macron. I forget what the person's name was, but it was someone, Le Pen, Marine Le Pen. I think that they arrested Marine Le Pen over something or other to try and prevent Le Pen from getting into office or something like that. We don't know yet if they killed the guy. Due process is important. I agree with that. I completely agree with you on that. So that is fair. We do not know yet if these are the people that killed the guy. However, what I will say is that in a country like the UK, which I assume France is very much the same, it's effectively a surveillance state where they know and can pretty easily and quickly determine, you know, hey, this is the person who was at a place and they did this thing. Like, if they've got the ability to show up to your house and arrest you over some tweets or, you know, something that you did or said at a protest or something like that, then it's reasonable to assume that there's a fair chance that this is the correct people. But again, you are correct. We don't know if it is, if they are guilty of the allegations, because they are only allegations. You're correct.
I don't know who they are. Like, that's the thing is, I've spoken about this before, where remember how Antifa were just basically ravaging the country for about a year and there was no arrest, nobody got caught. What
I will say, though, and it's because he just said the word Antifa, one of the tactics that is used by people like Antifa, which I feel like calling them a terrorist organization is a fair classification, because the things that they do, the tactics that they use, and how they go about achieving their goals largely use violence or the threat of violence in order to achieve a socio-political aim, which is what terrorism is, by the very definition. But one of the things that they like to do is they dress in very similar outfits. You know, they talk about black bloc and things like that, where the entire purpose of that is to help prevent identification, where it's, you know, and this is for here in the States anyways, where all you need to do is present the idea of a reasonable doubt in order to make it more dramatically more difficult to get a conviction. And you can say, oh, well, you know, they punched me in the face or something like that, and then I grabbed them. Well, then the question is, are you sure that you grabbed the right person? You know, and that is one of the things that is done. So, I don't know.
You know, just the police didn't do anything about it. But there was one single Tommy Robinson riot in fucking Within 3 days, the police had everyone proving they can, in fact, do it. They just refuse to with Antifa because Antifa are useful. They're very, very useful for having a little, sneaky way of getting rid of certain unwanted undesirables that are a little bit of a thorn in the government's side. So that's.
And here he makes a good point. It is a convenient means of a execution, assassination, whatever you want to call it. And then because like I said, one of the tactics they like to use is black bloc. Well, it gives plausible deniability. I remember it was not that long ago. This is, I don't know, couldn't have been more than 3 or 4 months ago, where a whole bunch of German politicians were killed, seemingly out of nowhere. And of course, people called it, "Oh, it's the far right." Let's see. I hate the BBC. Let's see. At the time that this was written, which this is from September 2nd of 2025, the BBC says as many as 6 candidates for Germany's far-right AfD have died in recent weeks. It says there's no evidence of foul play, but they all happen to have died. Really? It is statistically almost impossible. So, what is this? Okay. Man, they are really, really coming after you hard today. Let's see. What does it say? Okay, I have something funny about the LFI. Oh, okay, the people. The allegedly involved political party. In 2024, 92% of the French Jews name this party, the LFI, as being responsible for the hate Jews face, so anti-Semitism, and 57% of all asked Jews want to leave France should the party win in 2027. Yikes. Let's not act like wearing masks is an Antifa tactic. That's true, it isn't, but the idea that they're all completely identically clothed is so that if one of them gets grabbed and arrested, it gives plausible deniability to say, well, it's the wrong person, it wasn't me. Even if it was, because there's such a large group of them identically dressed with their face covered. Or moderately identically dressed. All black clothes, gloves, face mask. Like, yes, it's true that it is a criminal tactic in general, but when it's a large group of people with similar dress and masks, it's clear what they're doing. Or you could make the argument, well, maybe that's not necessarily what they are doing, but it is the outcome of what they're doing.
The most hilarious thing about Antifa overall.
Man, Kick is really trying to... They coming for you today.
Which is, the irony is definitely not lost on me, but it probably is on them. But basically, the fact is don't be basically, now that they've been arrested, right, don't be surprised if a bunch of them get off completely scot-free, and don't be surprised if when a bunch of them get convicted, that it'll be a little tiny slap on the wrist.
They do like that a lot in Europe as well.
A white nationalist. I don't mean like a white nationalist. I mean you're white and you're a nationalist, which means you aren't worth shit. Your life is worth nothing. The fact that you got beaten to death, who cares? It's a great thing. Because you wanted such evil, awful, terrible things. Like children to not be raped, and for women all over the country to not be sexually assaulted all the time, or harassed on trains or in the street, or for, full child grooming gangs and everything, like plaguing up and down the country, or benefits theft, or your people being ethnically replaced. You're a bad man if you care about any of those things and don't instead support them wholeheartedly.
I don't like a lot of the things that go on in Europe. It's one of the many reasons why I'm glad I don't live in Europe. I think that a lot of the like sexual assault and grooming gang stuff is very, 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 very bad, and I would almost. I'm not sure if I would make the argument, but I would consider the argument that that might actually be worse than the Epstein stuff. Because while the Epstein stuff is perpetrated by, or at least allegedly perpetrated, by this group of, weirdo PDF elites who are, grooming kids and doing bad things and possibly murdering these kids or eating them or whatever it is that they're doing, which a lot of those allegations are really insane. Just by the way, and if even a 1% of it is true, it's absolutely monstrous and barbaric. And anybody involved in that stuff should just be under the jail, right? And I specifically mean with the PDF stuff. Like, just because you knew him and talked to him on the phone a couple of times, that does not mean that you know what I mean? But I would argue that the grooming gang stuff in like the UK is potentially worse, because I've seen a bunch of stories over the past few days where it's like, 100 people assaulted this one person over the course of a couple of years and nothing was done about it. And it's not like, oh, these are the elites. These are just rank and file random people who are just there. Why is the government, why are the police, why are whoever it is that's doing it, why are they protecting these people or not going after them or whatever you want to call it? Why is there no account for these individuals doing all of this stuff? I really don't like that. Especially when it seems as though, based on what we've seen, it seems as though there is a reasonable chance of being able to say, well, a lot of these people were targeted because of the color of their skin. Now, maybe they weren't, and maybe they were. I don't know. But when your victims are predominantly of, one specific race, and a lot of the comments that they're making in terms of their testimony and accounts and stuff like that are, they said that they were going to, do this, this, and this to me because I'm a, filthy insert race here girl or whatever. Well, I mean, this part is that you got that info off Wikipedia itself, which is also quite left-leaning. So I really don't know why the Automod has it out for me. Yeah, agree. Wikipedia does definitely have it's a certain point of view, as Obi-Wan would say, which that was one of those things that really stuck with me from that movie. A certain point of view.
Right, so just remember that. So just remember that basically this is going to be treated like they killed a dog. Right, which is still, a bad thing, but, is it worthy of jail time? I mean, personally, yeah, I would say that'd be worthy of jail time, but still. Basically, I'm going to be watching this, but again, nobody be surprised if absolutely nothing comes of this.
It wouldn't surprise me if nothing does come from it, but that seems to be just the general sort of thing that they do now in Europe. And not even just in Europe, they do that a lot in the States as well, where it's, here's someone who clearly broke the law, but we're going to make excuses for why they did it. Or, say, well, they didn't understand. Which I saw a story, I think it was today, talking about a white dude here in my home state of Texas who went on a shooting spree and killed at least one of his neighbors or something like that. I don't catch all the details of the story, but he pled to he used the insanity defense, and after only a few months in the it wasn't a mental asylum prison thing, it was like a hospital thing basically. After a couple of months in there, they let him go, and that's just the end of it. There is no follow-up. There's no, oh, well, now you're going to go to prison or anything like that. It's very, very unpleasant. I don't like the my I don't understand what I did and why it was wrong and how it would hurt people, so I can't be punished for the bad thing that I did. I really don't like that at all. I am going to be right back in just the briefest of brief moments. I'm going to grab a little bit of water, and we will continue. We got a couple more things to go over, which we're going to start here next. So, be right back. Let me turn the music back on. Yeah. Okie dokie. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be sarcasm, little Petey, but thank you. I appreciate it. Okie dokie. Now, for my next trick, let's watch ourselves this here video. I don't know if this is going to be any good or not. I don't know what's going to happen. Hello? Video? Hello? Oh, it's short. I thought it was going to be longer than this. Let's see what we get.
For over 20 years, Steam has been the undisputed king of PC gaming. But in February 2026, a massive report from The Guardian revealed a growing rebellion. A group of developers are
The Guardian. Eyebrow
speaking
raised.
out, and their target isn't a rival console. It's the very thing that makes Steam work, the user review system. The report titled, "This Shouldn't Be Normal, Developers Speak Out About Bigotry on Steam," paints a picture of a platform in chaos. Multiple creators are describing what they call ineffective moderation and unchecked hatred. They want Valve to step in. They want reviews deleted. They want the culture war scrubbed from...
No, I don't think so. If people don't like your game, sorry, they don't like it. You don't get to have their review deleted so that you can boost sales just because you didn't like the thing that they said. Fuck off.
Their store pages. But Valve isn't budging. In fact, their response to these demands has been one of the most significant defenses of platform neutrality we've seen in years. Today, we're looking at why some developers
Now,
think
if someone is rolling through and sending you all kinds of death threats and stuff, that's a very different story. But if it's just, lol, your game sucks, and you are ugly, grow a thicker skin. Like, I don't care.
Steam is broken, and why Valve believes that fixing it their way would actually be the ultimate act of censorship. The primary argument from the developers is that Steam has become a quote-unquote battleground.
Oh
Take designer Lawhead, for example. Lawhead spent 2 years trying to get specific reviews removed from their game pages. One review of the game Blue Suburbia was objectively personal, referencing Lawhead's private life and physical appearance. Lawhead told The Guardian, "I assumed reporting Steam abuse might have its own issues, but I did have hope that this would be the way to get it resolved." Then there's the case of Coven, an action horror game. The developer Ethan claims he was targeted.
Hang on. I just lost everything. Everything, like, minimized all at once because I dropped my mouse. I say dropped. It fell off the back of my desk tray thing. Let me get my stuff back in place. Sorry about that. Okay. Let's go back.
It was objective.
Okay. Is there a review on Steam? It has more leverage over purchase on Steam than YouTube. Yes, exactly. YouTube videos probably have a lot more influence than a Steam review, because most of the time I don't read Steam reviews, if I'm being honest. But I mean, every now and again I'll look at the reviews and be like, okay. I'm not new to online harassment, says designer Nathalie Lawhead, who spent 2 years trying to get reviews removed from their games pages. Designer from their games? What? Whatever. Both reference allegations of sexual assault that Lawhead made in 2019. I assume reporting Steam abuse might have its own issues, but when people suggested that I open a ticket, I did have hope that this would be the way to get it resolved. So why are allegations of sexual assault something that needs to be removed from the review? Like, it doesn't have anything to do with the game. I'll grant you that, but I don't get it. Why does this need to be taken down? How is this abuse?
Moved from their game pages. One review of the game Blue Suburbia was objectively personal, referencing Lawhead's private life and...
One of the reviews published in 2023 read, "Cringe game made by a liar." Oh my god, made by a liar. We need to remove this immediately. Oh. The other review of Lawhead's game Blue Suburbia, posted in 2024, said, "A woman who seeks to destroy others' career made this. It's very poorly put together. She probably also has..." Oh. Okay. Now we're getting to something okay. This is rude. This is not so good. I'm not going to say it. It's clearly anti-Semitic. But what did I say about speech earlier? I said, and this is my opinion, and I stand by this, unless it's a direct call for violence or incitement of another crime, or incitement of crime just in general, which, of violence falls under that thing, then it's free speech, as far as I'm concerned, and it is, you're good. I think that it's very distasteful, but it's the kind of thing that's like, if someone says that, just ignore it and move on. People say all kinds of terrible things about me as well. Ignore it. Who cares? Seeks to destroy others' career. So it's, I assume, some kind of potentially false assault allegation based on this part. but it says one of the reviews, and then it says the other. This second one, if you said that this needs to be removed, I could kind of see what your point is because of the part about her citizenship, and then the part about, yeah, this is not so good. Cringe game made by a liar. Okay, that's an opinion, and that is possibly a fact statement, because pretty much everyone in their life lies at some point in time. But there's no reason to remove cringe game made by a liar. Sorry, no.
Physical appearance. Lawhead told The Guardian, I assumed reporting Steam abuse might have its own issues, but I did have hope that this would be the way to get it resolved. Then there's the case of Coven, an action horror game. The developer Ethan claims he was targeted by a curator called Charlie Tweets Detected. This curator doesn't review games based on graphics or called Charlie
Not sure how much you can write here. Oh. Not sure how much I can write here without being removed, but Charlie Kirk died. In the aftermath, numerous individuals cheered. These people worked on these games. So this is very Cabrutus, Sweet Baby Ink Detected, is what I'm taking away from this. Which, I'm going to be honest, I don't see an issue with. But again, this is like a social thing. And like I said, this is free speech. You may not like what they're saying, but they do have the right to say it.
This curator doesn't review games based on graphics or gameplay. They review them based on what the developer said about Charlie Kirk. Ethan reported this to Steam support, arguing it was off topic. But look at how Steam responded. They defined off topic as a recipe for cookies or
Charlie Tweets Detective's review of Coven, not Coven, a first-person action horror game set in the 1600s, read simply, celebrated September 10th on Blue Sky. This encouraged others to post further reviews and comments related to Kirk and not the game. I even mentioned it to Steam support, Ethan says, how it stemmed from that curator list, but they weren't interested. Instead, Steam support claimed that Off Topic constituted a recipe for cookies or something completely unrelated to video games that is clearly trolling. Reviews referencing Kirk, including one reading simply RIP Charlie Kirk alongside a negative rating, did not fit that criteria according to Steam. It is completely unrelated unless you're saying, hey, it's only related because they said this thing about this thing, which I guess, but it does seem like a little bit of a stretch. If you're like, oh, here's a recipe for cookies that this person posted online, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Or something completely unrelated to video games.
I'm kind of on the fence on this one.
That is clearly trolling. Because the review was tied to the developer of the game, Steam let it stand. To these developers, this feels like an ultimate act of betrayal. Amy of Studio Plain Toast stated Valve's
For sure, the anti-woke curators brought insincere negative attention to the game. Valve's refusal to moderate any of this is making Steam reviews and forums the battleground for some kind of culture war and is making them unsafe for marginalized people, fuck off, and regular gamers try to simply enjoy the game they bought. First of all, are you trying to say that, quote, marginalized people aren't regular gamers at all? Like, what are you doing? Shut up. Don't try and lump me into your weird little group. No. This response brings that sort of thing to the forefront.
To moderate any of this is making Steam reviews and forums the battleground for some kind of culture war. It's making them unsafe for marginalized people. But
Steam reviews and forums are unsafe. I don't feel safe going to a Steam review or forum because of the color of my skin.
This isn't just about small indie games either.
Is that
We're
Highguard?
seeing this play out
It
with
is Highguard.
massive projects that have recently crashed and burned. Just look at Highguard. When the game launched, it was met with a very negative rating almost instantly. The developers at Wildlight Studio didn't just take the L, they blamed the hate mobs. A former developer who got let go reflected on the launch, saying we were turned into a joke from minute one.
Well, if by minute one you mean the reveal on the Game Awards with Jeff Keighley, then yes.
They argue that dishonest critiques of their character.
I'm sorry, I'm just going to say it. Jeff Keighley giving Highguard the coveted final slot of at the Game Awards 2025, especially when he did it for free. And then he goes into this by saying, oh, from the studio that made Titanfall and Apex, or people that worked on Titanfall and Apex Legends. And it's like, okay, we're really hyping this up. And then you reveal a product that looks just objectively kind of mid. Like, I wasn't really all that interested in this. But not because, it's because it looks like it's woke. It just didn't look interesting. The idea of, hey, it's a PvEVP game. It's like, I guess that could be interesting. I would rather just have a PvE game or a PvP game instead of let me put elements of both in there at the same time. But when it ultimately comes down to it, this game, Highguard, is a hero shooter. A team-based raid, extraction, whatever the hell you want to call it. But it's a team-based hero shooter. And the heroes don't look interesting. The heroes don't look cool. So why are people going to want to play this? That's what it comes down to. I think I saw... I don't remember who said it. It might have been Asmongold. Said something about how... when it comes to designing characters, like you want characters that people want to be, that they want to self-insert as, for whatever reason it is that they want to insert on that person. And if you don't have characters like that, then nobody's gonna like your game, or nobody's gonna like your characters in the game anyway.
Characters and anti-woke sentiment killed the game before it had a chance. But if you look at the reviews, the players are saying something before it had a chance. But if you...
I enjoy the game, it's quite fun. Originally thought it'd lack any real identity from them merging so many mechanics, but I think it ended up working together pretty well. That being said, they lay off most of your dev team 2 weeks after launch, even though they're the only reason the game has managed to hold any player base. It's like they want the game to crash and burn as much as the haters do. I can't prove it, but I swear all these failed games recently are somehow being used as tax write-offs. That's an interesting idea. It's an interesting take. Had a bit of fun playing this, but what I can never support is this throwaway culture to gaming. Not an instant bestseller on Steam, let's sunset it, and or fire everyone. Scummy practice and getting
you
way
look at
too
the reviews,
common.
the players are saying something different. They're saying...
I really enjoyed this game, and it has a lot of potential, but it needs more content with a dedicated team. Sadly, when you lay off hardworking devs right after release, I don't see that happening anymore, so I will not be supporting this game anymore. They took a chance on the market, but not on their team, and that hurts and stifles creativity and collaboration. This game had everything I liked. It's what happens when you take the mechanics of Apex Legends, but sprinkle in Rainbow Six Siege and other elements from great FPS games, while still being fresh. But in its current stance, I think it means status, and with the recent layoffs, it shows me they don't have long-term goals with this game to figure out that potential before it dies. I hope in the future they will prove me wrong, because the game is very, very fun. Question marks. Firing people after slow release is not fun and should not be
The game was boring. The art style was unattractive.
I took the liberty to look at the page of Blue Suburbia, and there are only 7 negative reviews, and none contain that cited language. How interesting. Isn't that funny? I had so much fun with this game in the beginning. However, I think the most frustrating thing about this game is the amount of potential this game has, but just doesn't have it figured out yet. And if they don't figure it out, it absolutely will die. This game's biggest sin is controllers having free forgiven aimbot. Oh boy, gotta love seeing that in games. Non-optional crossplay. I'm not a big fan of non-optional crossplay, but whatever. And controller aimbot will be the death of this game. You even have the top-ranked PC players, top-ranked, brother, what? Using a controller because they get free aimbot. Wildlight has created a game that now requires no skill, and you cannot even decide to play with just PC players with no controller support. If the devs fix this quickly, it will save this game, which over the course of less than 2 weeks has gone from 15k concurrent players to under 5. Which, just for reference, the number of concurrent players on launch was like 97,000. Would be sad to see the devs from beloved games like Apex Legends and Titanfall to fail at this game.
And they didn't want another live service clone.
Successfully predicted the fate of Hyperscape, Crucible, Arc Raiders, even Battlefield 6 and RedSec. I don't consider myself a prophet, blah blah blah. I keep seeing this narrative that Highguard failed because of review bombing, because of Western chuds, because gamers are mean. I would like to read the rest
by
of that.
asking Steam to moderate these.
Went further into the developer team of Blue Suburbia, namely Alien Melon. None of the games they have a negative review with that cited language, so I call BS on that lady. Yeah, you're probably right.
Reviews, the developers are essentially asking Steam to hide the fact that the market has rejected their product. Mike Rose, head of
Valve has now rejected my complaint, confirming that I don't like Muslims is a valid reason to leave a negative review on a game on Steam. So, what was the reason? Let me see here. I can't actually...
No More Robots recently went public because Valve rejected a complaint about a review that said...
Okay. Woke Game also has Muslim. No one is asking for this type of stuff in a building cozy game. Not recommended. I wouldn't give a damn about your comments below. Proves the point that this world is infected with political views and religious potato heads, and these devs like to shove it in your face in this game, which is transformed in cute aesthetics to make a fool of the player. Yet some brilliant minds are coming here to tell me what opinion to have on things. Keep going, you are entertaining to read anyway. So I guess what he's saying is this is supposed to be some sort of cozy game. It's a building game, but it's putting religion in it.
Woke game.
Which means, based on what we're saying, is he is being a bit disingenuous here by asserting that, first of all, this says I don't like Muslims. It sounds like this person doesn't like Islam or just religion in general being pushed into a game that has nothing to do with that sort of thing. So not only did he not say this, but that's not the reason he left the negative review. I don't like the stuff you put in your game. And he's trying to make it about the identitarian group of Muslim.
Went public because Valve rejected a complaint about a review that said Woke Game also has Muslims. Rose argued that racism is against guidelines and should be a no-brainer for removal, but Valve's response was silent. They didn't delete it because the moment Valve starts verifying what is a valid opinion on a group of people, they become an editorial board.
Bingo. As soon as you start removing stuff like that, you're telling people what language is and is not okay. Yes, I agree.
Not a storefront. So what we're seeing here in 2026 is an accountability crisis. In the past, if a game failed, the developers went back to the drawing board to figure out where it went wrong. Today,
now they're trying to essentially tone police people and say, you're not allowed to dislike my game because of this thing that you said, or you can dislike my game, but you can't tell people that you don't like it because of this reason, because I don't like that you said that.
They just go ahead and complain.
And I feel like you shouldn't be able to feel that way. That's what I'm hearing.
To Steam. By grouping legitimate criticism with bigotry, developers are attempting to create a world where any dissent or negative review is a violation of safety. They are essentially asking Valve to ignore the data, which is very similar to the relooted strategy. When CEO Ben Myers...
This is a Steam forum for Reloaded, and it's all grave dancing, rightoid, culture war incels. Do you think ValveSoftware.com is ever going to crack down on this shit? They allow this nonsense to fester on their platform, providing hate mongers a soapbox to spew vile racist bullshit. Deeply frustrating. This is on Blue Sky, of course, which is a known echo chamber. Let's see what we've got. The target audience looted this game somewhere else. Okay, so that's pirating. Which, by the way, for reference, Relooted is a game starring primarily black characters that's about breaking into museums and whatever to steal African cultural artifacts to return them to Africa. So they're saying the target, and it's clearly targeting, for lack of a better way of putting it, black nationalists, people out there in America largely who are like, yes, I believe I will wear a dashiki. So target audience looted this game. That is a black stereotype, to be fair. But while also putting in, what the hell, the thing about piracy. This is not the way to get any sort of message across. So how is this funded? Hello, fellow chuds. N, I can only imagine what that one's for. All the racists unintentionally helping this game is really, I don't know. And so the chuds remain. Thank you, devs, for being LGBTQI++ inclusive. Okay. I'm not white. I'm not black either. Hey, that's me. I'm both of those things, and some. So taking an object on the ground is theft. 56 concurrent player peak. Black equals thief-ass gaming. Yes, I agree. I don't like that. Veridark protected me from this game. I don't see the issue with most of these. It depends largely on what's in the one that says N. I can guess what comes after that. I don't like Relooted on the basis that it's... Negative black stereotype is stealing. So let's make a game about breaking into places and stealing things because that we feel that they're ours culturally. No, I don't like that.
This blames YouTubers and bad faith actors.
Based on the torrid stuff they mark as not against TOS when it's reported, I doubt they have much interest ever addressing this, which is particularly awful considering you can't turn off forums as a dev. You shouldn't be able to. That's fine. One solution I've seen other devs use is to lock the whole forum and leave a single lock thread pointing to a platform they have actual moderation power over. Maybe that's an option for y'all. Either way, deeply sorry you have to deal with this bullshit. 2014 never ends. That's Gamergate. We'll look into it. Part of the issue, though, is that if you use your moderation powers too much as a dev, there is a cottage industry of YouTubers who make videos about your forums that then that drives more bad faith actors there. Went through this when we announced, just it becomes a feedback loop of never-ending new accounts dropping in, basically impossible to moderate the volume that occurs when that happens. So here we have someone espousing the idea that in order to have the discourse or reviews or whatever that you want to see, the solution to use is to only have people go somewhere where you can control the things that they're allowed to say. I don't like that. I do not like censorship. I really don't like it. Once again, calls for violence, incitement of crimes. That's it. That's where I draw the line. Sorry if you don't like the things that they're saying, but they have the right to say it. And if it hurts your feelings, I'm sorry, but that's how it is. I think it's absurd that we live in this world where suddenly now we all have to start caring about the feelings of random people that we don't know. Like, you never want to, go out of your way to be mean to someone or something. That's not necessary. But the world doesn't care about us. The world as a whole, society, they don't care about you. They don't care about me. They don't care about the person sitting next to you. It doesn't matter. None of us matter. And this idea that all of a sudden society has to care about this guy's feelings because he doesn't like the stuff that they put in a review on his game is stupid. Sorry, but it is. Because this is essentially saying how you feel about something is more important than how I feel about it. Right? And I don't like that. I really, really don't. I feel like your rights begin where mine end. Yeah, you just have to deal with the consequences. Exactly.
He is asking for a version of Steam where only approved opinions are allowed to affect a game's visibility. So if Valve would hypothetically fall to this pressure, the Steam review score would become as useless as a paid-for critic score on a...
Bingo! And that's the thing. The guy said something about 2014, talking about Gamergate, and Gamergate was never about, oh, there's women in the industry, oh, there's black people that get to work on video games, I don't like that. That's not what Gamergate was about. Gamergate, at its very core, was about this idea that here's a person who works on a game who is sleeping with someone who is reviewing that game. And it's insane that the obvious conflict of interest there somehow became about, and the idea of access journalism somehow became about anti-feminism and racism and stuff like that. Misogyny. It's really, really stupid, in my opinion. One moment, I need water. Okay, that's better. Legitimately, Gamergate was all about this idea that if a company, let's say you have a critic, we as gamers don't care if you're a black woman, if you can make a great game, I will buy that regardless of what the developer is. Agree. I don't know why that got moderated, but it's because it says it's hate. It's probably because you said black woman and don't care, I would guess. Yeah, Gamergate was about this idea that here's a reviewer. We'll say that the LPJ here is reviewing something from me. Well, the idea is if I give LPJ something to review and LPJ, Lil Petey, gives me a good score, well, I'm probably going to give Lil Petey more stuff to review in the future. But if Lil Petey doesn't give me a good score, well, then I guess that I need to go give it to Lucian instead. And now, all of a sudden, Lil Petey doesn't have something to review, which means that as a critic, Lil Petey is losing market share and ad revenue and all of that stuff. So the idea is, in order for me to get free review copies of stuff, in order to get traffic to my website, I have to essentially sell out and just say the words for the developers to give them a good review score. And by giving them that good review score, now I have further access to their stuff in the future. And it's a feedback loop of toxic positivity, where you saw a lot of the times that people who did give negative scores, they weren't given those review copies again in the future. There is a creator that I know. I'm not sure if I would call him my friend. I definitely in the past, I would have said, yes, this guy's my friend. Now, I don't really know. I feel generally positively towards this individual as a person, but I think as a content creator, I really don't. But it's someone who they get a lot of perks from various major companies. And I'm not going to specify what kind of companies those are because it's not relevant. But this individual definitely gives extraordinarily positive, reviews and things like that to the, companies providing these products, and then continues to get those products. If you're someone who you're constantly saying, oh man, I love Nintendo an awful lot, it wouldn't really surprise me if Nintendo sent you a bunch of free stuff, essentially to buy you off to get you to continue to say how much you love Nintendo. What's the cost of a Switch or something like that, or a Virtual Boy, or, you know, whatever, if it's going to continue to get you positive publicity without you having to spend as much money on, let's fly someone out somewhere, let's put them up in a hotel, let's give them this tour, let's do this, let's do that. Like, nah. But yeah, that's essentially what Gamergate was about. It was about access journalism. And if you don't provide positive coverage, well, you're not going to get access to that thing. You feel like the concept of being a sellout has been lost. Yeah, because everybody has sold
but
out.
here's where things get interesting. As most tech giants usually cave under this kind of pressure, Valve operates very differently. With only 300 employees managing 42 million concurrent users, Valve relies on a philosophy of radical neutrality. When Lawhead pushed Steam to remove those reviews, Steam support wrote, "We aren't in a position to verify the accuracy."
I appreciate you taking the time to reach out about this. I understand how it can be frustrating to see possible inaccuracies or exaggerations, but we aren't in a position to verify the accuracy of statements made in user reviews, and we don't try to moderate reviews based on accuracy. On top of that, removing reviews can easily lead to concerns from players about censorship or even that malicious behavior is being hidden. It's much better to continue working on the product while letting the community use the helpfulness feature to surface. Why did I say gather? Where did I come from? Feature to surface reviews that they agree with or find to be uninformed. We also have a tool that lets you use a developer reply. Blah 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 blah. It's the positive aspect that matters here. For example, someone like Yahtzee has to buy his own copies despite being well known. Yes, exactly. Yahtzee and God, what was that? What was it? Yahtzee's thing called? It was shoot. I watched a bunch of those. But he was always kind of brutal towards games, and it's like, well, if you're not going to be nice and, you know, play ball, well, we're not going to keep doing the thing for you. It's you scratch my back and I'll scratch yours, right? Not everybody. I mean, I didn't even accept a bonus at work because I was told to keep it hush hush, as not everyone got a bonus. Oh, I mean, I'll accept your bonus. If that's something that you need me to do, like, I'll accept it for you. Like, I'm a real team player here.
Accuracy of statements made in user reviews, and we don't try to moderate reviews based on accuracy. Valve went even further, explicitly stating that removing these reviews could be seen as censorship. This is a massive statement. Valve is essentially saying that once they start deciding which mean reviews are accurate and which ones are harassment, they become the arbiters of truth, and Valve has no interest in being your moral compass. Another developer received a similar response after reporting transphobic comments. It's much better to continue working on the product while letting the community use the helpfulness feature to surface reviews that they agree with or find to be uninformed.
Zero
And
punctuation.
This is the Steam.
Yes. Understandable, because it really felt like there wasn't any punctuation. You right.
Way. If a review is bad or bigoted or stupid, Valve expects the users to vote it down into irrelevance. They believe in the helpful button more than the delete button. The developers in the Guardian report argue that because Steam is a near monopoly, it has a monumental responsibility to protect them. They say a single negative rating can mean the difference between success and failure, and in a way they are right, it can, but that's exactly why the system must remain uncensored.
Exactly.
If Valve starts deleting reviews because a developer finds them...
If Valve starts deleting reviews for stuff like that, and it's like, oh, because this review wasn't deleted, then this is a success, or, you know, whatever, then it gives Steam the power, especially when you say that they're a monopoly, it gives them the power to decide who will and will not be successful, and it opens them up to start being corrupt and getting kickbacks.
Insincere or bigoted, where does it stop? Does a review complaining about woke characters get deleted? What about a review complaining about bad optimization that the dev claims is fixed? What about a review that calls a dev lazy? The moment Valve begins verifying accuracy, every developer on the platform will flood them with tickets demanding the removal of every negative review that isn't 100% technical. We would see the death of the mixed rating. Every game would just be overwhelmingly positive because any negative review would just get deleted. The report quotes developer Fee saying to us, it seemed that in Steam's view, hateful comments about an individual is abuse, but targeting it towards a group of people is totally fine. And while that sounds harsh, it reveals the core of the friction. Steam treats groups as topics. If you make a game about a specific political identity, the community is going to discuss that identity. You cannot invite the world to look at your art and then demand they only speak about it in ways you find safe. But for the consumer, Steam is a marketplace of ideas. When you see a game with mostly negative reviews, it's just a large warning. Sometimes that warning is about bugs, sometimes it's about a developer's behavior, and sometimes it's about the woke content the developer is pushing. The point is, the customer gets to decide what information is relevant to them. So the Guardian article concludes with Lawhead saying, this shouldn't be normal, but for millions of people who use Steam every day, this is the normal they want. They want the raw, unfiltered, and sometimes ugly truth of—
I want it to be up to me to decide whether or not a review that I see is good or bad, or helpful or useless. If the problem that someone has with a game is, I didn't like the graphics, well, graphics is something that I can look past a lot of the time. If someone says that the story is bad, well, that's going to be a problem for me. If someone says that the game is poorly optimized, that's going to be a problem for me. It really just depends on what they say in the review, right? And what people value is going to vary from person to person, and I don't think that it should be up to the developers to decide what impression I'm allowed to have of their game before I buy it, before they get the money from me. No, I don't think so.
Of the community's opinion. Steam's refusal to moderate accuracy isn't a failure of the system, it's actually a feature that keeps the system honest. So Valve has made its choice. They are choosing the chaos of the public square over the safety of the gated community, and as long as they do, Steam will remain the only place where the users, not the corporations, have the final word. But overall, what do you think? Is Valve justified in protecting mean reviews to avoid censorship?
Gabe Newell is based out of his fucking mind, and that's just how it is. I wonder why the Germans are going nuts. What do you guys think? Chat, honorable chatters, on this here Taco Thursday. Like, I don't know. I don't like the idea of someone else being able to make up my mind for me and to decide what I'm allowed to say or do or think or whatever. Like, no, it ultimately should be up to me. Hell yeah. Well, whoa. I don't know about that one, Elucidator. Gaben is very based, though. Private entity, they can do whatever they want, yeah. Yeah, I agree. And it's like, if you don't like that this is what they're doing, then you're free to take your game to another platform to sell it. Oh, well, you know, now we're being, we're not able to access the entire market. Well, okay. Like, by trying to sell your product here, you agree to their rules. You don't get to change this isn't, in this situation, you are Lando Calrissian, not Darth Vader. It's not, pray I don't alter the agreement further. Yeah, I don't like this idea. Yes, exactly. I don't like the idea that a company trying to sell me something gets to curate their reviews to try and... yes, exactly. They can go to Epic or Good Old Games, Which I will say, one thing I really like about Good Old Games is once you buy something on their platform, it's yours forever. They can't delete it. They can do anything about it. It's yours. And so there's no, oh, well, we're going to delist it, or like they've done here recently with Yakuza, you need to buy the update for the updated DLC thing to be able to play the game. Like, no, that's stupid. Can't blame people for trying to change the rules. Like, if they don't like the rule, then they should try to change it. That's true. If you don't like the rule, you should have the ability to try to change it. But in this case, this is someone who's trying to sell a product to an end user, and the person they're trying to use as their middleman, their salesperson, says, okay, I'll sell it, but only under these conditions. Sorry, if that's how they want to run their business, you don't have the ability to change how they run their business. Like, you can ask them, and they can internally consider it, but you shouldn't be able to force it. You don't get to have access to 100% of the market just because you want it. You have to follow the rules of the marketplace. You know, I don't like the idea that we have games that in, for example, I know China and I think it's like Saudi Arabia, maybe, and Australia, there are a lot of things that they won't allow in games there. And, you know, people have to change the code of their games to get rid of stuff for that in order to sell in those countries. And I don't like that it's like that, but those are the rules there. And I don't like it, and I would say y'all should probably change it, but there's a process to do that. And just because I think that they should change it doesn't mean that they need to do it. Disagree with their suggested changes. Yes, they probably do disagree with me. They want me to eat the slop. They want me to live in the pod and eat the bugs. Okay, so now we're getting to the part that I'm the most excited about. This is gonna be interesting. As nice as Good Old Games, they don't offer some games because I don't know enough about Good Old Games. That's like the only thing I know about them is I think I got a copy of Divinity Original Sin 2 or something that happened to be through Good Old Games, because it was like a humble bundle or like a free thing on Twitch with Amazon Prime or whatever. All that's left to do is fight about it. But I remember I got it and I was like, why would I use this platform instead of Steam? That's dumb. I'm never going to use this. And so I uninstalled Good Old Games, the GOG. And then I found out later that it's like, that's their thing, is they can't take away your ownership. So I like that. I'm sure that there are other things that I can find that I don't like about them, but I can say that about pretty much anything. Like, you know, there are things that Donald Trump does that I like, and there's plenty of things that he does that I don't like. There are a couple of things that Kamala Harris suggested that I thought were good ideas, and then there's quite a few that were really, really stupid ideas. The idea of expanding the child tax credit was a good idea, I think. At least in principle. Because one of the things that we need to do is encourage people to, you know, have more kids, you know, have families, have bigger families, whatever. But at the same time, I recognize that with stuff like that, depending on how you set it up, how you word it, you open the door to potential fraud and abuse and stuff like that. But generally speaking, I like the child tax credit. At the same time, I do not like the idea of what was it? There was one that was 25. I think this was a California thing where it was, we're going to give a $25,000 essentially credit or grant or loan or whatever, $25,000 credit to first-time home buyers. And it's like, well, that sounds really good, except the problem is when someone's selling a house knows that people are going to have $25,000 given to them by the government, they're just going to raise the price of the house by $25,000. they're ultimately going to pay the same amount of money out of pocket. Like, duh, that's how these things work. All you have to do to see that is look at the way that government subsidizing of tuition or healthcare. There's plenty of things you can look at to see that that's not a good idea. But I think I feel like in the case of Kamala Harris, it was something about black people. It's like black people who start a small business or something like that. We're gonna give them money to start a business or something like that. I was like, or maybe that was the home buyer thing. I don't remember, but I do not like things that discriminate based on identity. If it was discriminating based on class, I'd probably be okay with it. If it's like, okay, well, you know, people who, you know, make below X amount of money, we're going to give them, you know, an extra tax stimulus, or, you know, we're going to give if they're trying to start a business, we're going to give them a, you know, an extra X amount of money to start it in terms of credits or whatever. You know what I mean? I'm okay with that. Anyways, so for our last subject for the day, before we go, we've got Parasite TV, who I'm not gonna say he's one of my favorite YouTubers, but I definitely enjoy his videos. He tends to dive into some really interesting, you know, deep, dark, conspiracy, spooky stuff. And one of his series is the Celebrity Conspiracy Theory Iceberg. And wait, iceberg? Is it usually an iceberg? But I think I mentioned earlier in the stream that the first time I saw one of these, or one of the first ones I saw, it was about Kristen Pfaff and Kurt Cobain, and how, in my opinion, disclaimer, I'm pretty sure that Courtney Love was involved in their deaths. So we'll see what we get in this one.
Hey guys, welcome back to Parasite TV, where today we'll be diving back into the Celebrity Conspiracy Theory Iceberg, a series where we explore the dark corners of Hollywood and dig up the disturbing secrets of the world's most famous celebrities. From conspiracy theories, to bizarre scandals and open secrets, to chilling and infamous crimes. So strap in
Hopefully
and
you guys
buckle up,
find this
because this
interesting,
is about to get weird.
as
Oh, and
I
before we
do.
get started, if you don't mind, could you please hit the like.
One of my friends made a comment about how in all of his videos you never see the left side of his face. So let's see what we get.
Throughout 2017 and early 2018, Sacha Baron Cohen, famous for his zany character performances in movies like Borat and The Dictator, was filming a new project titled Who is America? The show set out to have Cohen, once again disguised as various outlandish characters, interview and spotlight various people in America, from the most infamous to the completely unknown. But during the production of the show, Cohen would seemingly uncover an extremely disturbing criminal organization, and things got really weird. In an interview about the show, given to Deadline in late 2018, Cohen describes the twisted situation that was eventually cut from the show. The production was filming the show in Las Vegas, with Cohen disguised as Gio Maldonado, a fake Italian billionaire playboy, fashion photographer from Milan persona. Cohen, as Gio, was speaking with the hotel concierge and was attempting to catch a comedic moment by talking about Harvey Weinstein's legal trouble. When the moment didn't quite pay off, Cohen, in his own words, pivoted to extreme comedy. Cohen implied to the concierge that he had an inappropriate relationship with a young boy. He believed revealing this would cause an extreme reaction, but it didn't. In fact, the concierge remained completely calm and stayed seated in the
Hang on, what?
room, but it didn't. In fact, the concierge remained completely calm and
what?
Stayed seated in the room. Cohen told Deadline, "We thought that the guy would leave the room, Instead, this concierge stays in the room and I go, listen, you've got to help me get rid of a problem. This guy starts advising Gio how to get rid of the issue. We even at one point talk about murdering the boy, and the concierge is just saying, well listen, I'm really sorry. In this country, we can't just drown the boy. This is America, we don't do that. Cohen went on to explain how the concierge offered to connect him with a lawyer to silence the boy, but that wasn't the end of it either. His character next inquired if the concierge could fetch him a date. The concierge asked him what kind of date. Gio responded that his date should be lower than bar mitzvah but older than 8. And the concierge reportedly replied, yeah, I can put you in touch with somebody who can get you some boys like that.
Is it Jeffrey Epstein?
The footage they had just captured took such an extremely dark and unsettling turn, Cohen and the production team weren't really sure what to do next. But eventually the team sent the footage to the good old FBI. Upon not hearing anything back, Cohen's team reached out to the FBI to find out any information they could about the subsequent investigation, only to be told that there wouldn't be one. The FBI had decided not to pursue Cohen's case. Sacha Baron Cohen found this to be surprising, as the concierge had said he'd worked for politicians and various billionaires. But if anything, that shouldn't be surprising at all.
I don't like that I
Today's
said,
video is all about
Epstein
disturbing and unsolved
and
mysteries. But you know what
it's
shouldn't
like,
be a mystery? Your health. That's why
maybe?
I need to tell you about the sponsor of this video, ZocDoc. My sponsor ZocDoc
All
is a
right.
free website where you can
I
search
will
and compare
leave
high quality
the
and
ad.
network doctors. Choose the right one for your needs and click to instantly book an appointment. We're
It's
talking
only
about in-network
appropriate.
appointments from nearly 100,000 healthcare providers across nearly every specialty, from mental health to dental health, skincare to
I
eye
cannot
care,
speak
and
for
much
how
more.
good
You can
these
filter for
types of
doctors who
services
take
are
your insurance,
at
who are
all,
located nearby,
but
who are a good fit
it's
for
only
any medical need you may
respectful
have,
to leave the
and
ad
who are
in.
highly rated by verified patients. You can also see their actual appointment openings, choose a time that works for you, and click to instantly book a visit. Plus, ZocDoc appointments happen fast, typically within 24 to 72 hours of booking. You can even score same-day appointments. You don't even have to talk to anyone, just book with a few clicks. So stop putting off those doctor's appointments. Go to ZocDoc/Parapsych, the link is also in the description, to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. And a huge thanks to ZocDoc for making this video possible. In the early hours of May 18th, 2017, acclaimed singer-songwriter Chris Cornell was found dead in his Detroit, Michigan hotel room. He had performed with his band, Audioslave, just hours earlier at the Fox Theater. The music world was shocked and saddened by the loss of a living legend who had allegedly died by Another rock icon, Chester Bennington, of Linkin Park fame, was extremely close with Chris, and even the godfather to Chris's son. On the day of Cornell's funeral, Chester sang Hallelujah as a eulogy to his friend. 2 months later, on Chris Cornell's birthday, Chester was found dead. He had also allegedly committed suicide. Chester Bennington struggled with depression throughout his life, stemming from a difficult childhood marked by parental divorce and abuse. These experiences led to trauma, substance abuse, and ultimately battles with depression. Chris Cornell struggled with depression throughout his life, even experiencing severe depression as a teenager. He also battled addiction to alcohol and drugs, which he said intensified his depression, and had publicly discussed his struggles on many occasions. So at first, nobody really questioned the two deaths happening in such quick succession, especially with how close the two were. And Chester passing away on Chris's birthday seemed to reinforce the idea that Chris's death tipped the scale for his friend. But the next year, 2 more celebrity deaths would lead to an extremely disturbing conspiracy theory, and Chester's possible ties to one of the most powerful men in politics would begin to surface. On April 18th, 2018, massively influential EDM artist Avicii, real name Tim Bergling, was found dead in his resort.
I'm just gonna say it right now. I don't know who this guy is.
Hotel room in Oman. And like the year before, 2 months later, on June 8th, another beloved
Anthony
celebrity,
Bourdain?
Chef
I know
Anthony
that.
Bourdain, was dead. Both deaths were ruled as suicides.
I
And
know
both
Anthony
deaths were
Bourdain.
heavily scrutinized by conspiracy theorists and
Anthony Bourdain is really cool.
fans alike. According to theorists,
I watched
Chester
his
Bennington,
show.
Chris Cornell, Avicii,
Not all
and
the time,
Anthony
but
Bourdain were all working on exposing human
enough.
trafficking via a documentary called Silent Children. This endeavor leading to all 4 of them being taken out to silence them and derail the project. Keep in mind, in the time after the death of all 4 of these stars, there was a lot of speculation about the possibility that they were murdered. And not just by crazy fans and conspiracy theorists. Chester's sister posted this photo in memory, referencing Epstein and clearly inferring that she believed there had been some foul play, even using the hashtag Bill Clinton body count.
Okay, the Clinton body count is a whole other thing. Maybe someday we'll dive into that on stream. That video is insane.
In the years since, she has either deleted and reposted the photo or edited the caption. His sister also made claims about Mike Shinoda having some kind of dark secret, and made several posts insinuating that she would be revealing the truth. After which, according to her, her Twitter was deleted to silence her. In August of 2018, she checked herself into a hospital to receive mental health care,
Of course
and she has
she did.
seemingly backed away from making any claims about her brother's death. Another detail that helped form the theory was this photo collage, comparing photos of Chester Bennington with photos of this man, American political consultant John Podesta. John and his brother Tony Podesta are infamous among conspiracy theory enjoyers for many reasons. To name a few,
these guys are Epstein involved.
John and Tony Podesta bear a resemblance to police sketches of suspects in the disappearance of Madeleine McCann from a vacation home in Portugal in May of 2007. There was also a female suspect sketched by
Who
police.
the hell was that?
Does this person
Oh,
look
that's
familiar?
Ghislaine Maxwell,
The Podestas
Maxwell for
are
sure.
heavy hitters in DC, both having worked with the Clintons for decades. In John being implicated in, at the very least, some fairly unethical political manipulation during the WikiLeaks Hillary Clinton email scandal in 2015. And Tony has an absolutely unhinged taste in art, owning some of the most disgusting art I've ever seen. There are reasons that the conspiracy community ties the Podestas to criminal acts, and although no hard evidence has ever been provided, the Podestas were a major focus of the pizza-related conspiracy theory scandal in 2016.
Pizzagate. That's a comment something.
Chester Bennington was candid about the abuse that he suffered at the hands of a family friend as a child. So with that information, the rumors about the Podestas, and this image all coming together, it was a perfect set of circumstances for a disturbing conspiracy theory. There's also a theory about the band name, Lincoln Park. Lincoln Park was a neighborhood within CFB Calgary in Canada, a military base with some kind of ties to MK Ultra. But as far as I know, this is a simple mix-up. There was an MK Ultra base in Canada, but the Canadian program that allegedly took place in MK Ultra was the DRDC in Toronto. Look it up. It's real. Silent Children was a documentary project and fundraiser aimed at exposing high-profile individuals implicated in the child human trafficking industries. But according to Reuters, a spokesperson for the project said, "None of the people involved in this conspiracy theory were ever involved in our project, and we were never remotely in contact with them."
I bet that something's going to happen in this that's going to prove that that's false. I'm calling my shot.
Our project and its website was a well-meaning attempt to make people aware of a serious problem. We never got further than what was on the website, and we are not able to raise funding to move forward. According to this mysterious spokesperson, the project was shelved in January of 2017, just a few months before Chris Cornell's passing, and these quotes were given for a 2020 Reuters fact-checked article about the theory. Interestingly, when they were approached for comment by Reuters, the spokesperson said the website was still up years later, but it was in the process of being taken down. Avicii's inclusion in the theory was predicated on his final song and music video clearly being about the child exploitation industry. But this wasn't his final song or music video. It actually came out around 3 years before his death. I believe Bourdain's inclusion was based on two factors: his manner of death being the same as Chester and Chris, hanging from a doorknob, and his close relationship to Asia Argento, a powerful voice in the Me Too movement, who would later be exposed for grooming and eventually assaulting a minor who had played her son in a 2004 film. That scandal played out very publicly just after Bourdain's tragic death. So yes, Chester Bennington did bear a resemblance to John Podesta, and there was a canceled documentary called Silent Children about human trafficking, but I couldn't find any evidence that any of these four celebrities were linked to it at any time. All four men led very high pressure, very complicated lives, with a ton of well-documented struggles with anxiety, depression, and substance abuse. And when you really begin to dig into this theory, it just doesn't seem to stand up to any sort of scrutiny. I do have a lingering question though. Why did anyone that came up with this theory even know the name Silent Children, if the project never received any funding and never even started production? Was there at one time more evidence tying Chris or Chester or Tim or Anthony to the project? If there was, it's gone now. On April 23rd, 2023, Jamie
Spooky stuff.
Foxx's daughter shared a post to Instagram saying, "We wanted to share that my father, Jamie Foxx, experienced a medical complication yesterday. Luckily, due to quick action and great care, he is already on his way to recovery." According to TMZ, Jamie Foxx experienced a medical emergency and was rushed to the hospital on April 10th. His condition was bad enough that many of his family members traveled from out of town to see him at the hospital. The ears of many a conspiracy theory enjoyer perked up, as Jamie Foxx had been candid about Kanye West's.
I seem to recall there was a lot of stuff about Jamie Foxx having had like a stroke or something like that due to complications from a COVID vaccine, and that was the theory. I don't know if this has anything to do with that.
Basically being hospitalized against his will and force-fed psychiatric drugs. Quote, "When Kanye talked about the drugs, the mental drug, I've had an episode of that. When he was talking about I went in for 2 pills and then 7 pills, that's real." In years prior, he had also joked about P. Diddy's flavor camp, in which Diddy had a young underage usher sleeping in his bed for a month.
I moved to New York City, and I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year.
That's the crazy thing. Now, that was L.A. Reid's idea, right? We're sending you
New
over
York
to something
City.
called Puffy Flavor Camp.
There you go.
To learn some...
Flavor Camp.
Yeah,
Flavor
that's what it
Camp.
was called. And you're going to go to Puff Daddy's. He's going
In the 90s, do you understand what that's like? Hey, it was curious. I got a chance to see some things.
Yeah, but you were 13. What were you seeing?
I went there to see the lifestyle.
Right.
And I saw it. And it was but I don't know if I could indulge and understand what I was even looking at. It was pretty wild. It was,
So nobody
it was crazy.
tried to, some woman didn't come along.
I didn't
and
say that.
Okay.
I didn't say that. What I did say is that there were very curious things taking place, and I didn't necessarily understand it.
Biggie Smalls was there.
And allegedly, something similar happened between Diddy and Justin Bieber.
Justin, you ever seen the movie 48 Hours? Right now, he's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their lives, like where we hanging out and what we doing. We can't really disclose, but it's definitely a 15-year-old's dream. I have been given custody of him. He signed to Usher.
I'm signed to Usher.
I had legal guardianship of Usher when he did his first album. I did Usher's first album. I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So and we gonna go full crazy.
Going crazy.
Crazy.
I'm taking this out tonight.
What you wanna do? What you wanna do over the next 48 hours?
Earlier in 2023, Jamie Foxx was
I'm not
in
sure what
London
this has to
working
do
on
with
Cameron
anything.
Diaz's comeback film, Back in Action. And on March 15th, production grinded to a halt with reports of Foxx having major meltdowns on set, firing production staff, and becoming unpopular. There were also strange rumors that Jamie was the target of a scam perpetrated by one of his staff members, in which he was somehow scammed out of $40,000. This occurred in mid-March of 2023, at the same time that production
Okay.
issues were flaring up for Back in Action. But it's unclear whether or not the two situations were connected. Allegedly, one of the staff that was fired was Jamie's own personal driver, so people started wondering if he was maybe the target of some kind of larger conspiracy to dismantle his life or cause him to start distrusting those around him. Like I said, a month after
Okay.
this crazy
I could
scam
see
and
that.
these production issues and firing staff, he was in the hospital. On April 21st, 2023, reports surfaced that Fox was awake and alert, but that hospital staff wanted to keep him at the hospital to, quote, keep his stress levels down, and wanted to make sure that he is perfectly stable once they do eventually release him. That kind of language making conspiracy theorists head spin, as it ties back to Kanye's forced hospitalizations and long-standing rumors of celebrities being programmed and mind-controlled. Rumors began spreading from several different sources, some allegedly coming from inside the family. Some said that
Mira Nair, the mother of Zohran Mamdani, is in the Epstein files, to which he didn't say anything about. But in 2005, when the first case against the Epsteins was raised, Mamdani would have been like 14, not to assume anything, but that has a certain taste to it. I saw something, I don't know if it's true or not, but it was basically saying that all of that is like made up. Although maybe it was, because there was like a photo with his mom and Epstein and I think it was Bill Clinton or something like that. Maybe it was the photo that was fake. I don't remember. But I've heard that his mother's in the Epstein files, but it's definitely a case of anything that I see in the Epstein files, I take with like an entire bag of salt, because I've also seen the hey, you know what would be a really good idea is if we just make up a bunch of shit in these emails and send it, so that if there's ever an investigation, nobody will know what's true and what isn't. So I don't know. I'm taking a heavily, skeptical wait and see approach to a lot of that stuff. Like when you're like, hey, George H.W., the elder Bush, he was involved in a satanic ritual where they cut open babies and they ate the feces out of their intestines and stuff. Nah, I don't think that I believe that. Like, is it possible? Yeah, I guess. Do I find it likely? No, probably not.
Fox had suffered a stroke. Some said that he was experiencing complications from the COVID vaccine. A major theory going around the conspiracy boards at the time was that Diddy had somehow poisoned Jamie Foxx. At the same time that this whole mysterious illness thing was occurring, and it seemed like Jamie Foxx was being hid from the public eye, Netflix was promoting a new movie starring Jamie Foxx about cloning called They Cloned Tyrone. During the promotion of They Cloned Tyrone, reports that Jamie Foxx had miraculously recovered from this mystery illness began to spread, and he posted this video.
I didn't want you to see me with tubes running out of me and trying to figure out
he looks
if I was gonna make it through.
Very pale.
Back.
Users quickly pointed out how incredibly different Jamie looked from before his hospitalization, and for a short time, the theory that he had been cloned took off. Since then, Jamie Foxx has shut down.
I will say in this shot, maybe it's just the lens or something, his forehead looks fucking bigger. And you can see he's missing some facial hair right in here. That's still present over here. That could be, just a bad shave or something like that, but his forehead definitely looks bigger here.
Time, the theory that he had been cloned took off. Since then, Jamie Foxx has shut down all conspiracy theories regarding his hospitalization. He eventually revealed he suffered a burst blood vessel in his brain, leading to a stroke and a fight for his life. He addressed much of the controversy in his special, What Happened Was.
The internet said that Puffy tried to kill me. I left them parties early. I was out by 9. Something don't look right. It's slippery in here.
So, what do you think? There have long been rumors about human cloning and celebrities being replaced, but I don't think that's quite what happened here. Jamie Foxx is worth somewhere around $200 million and is usually tied up in multiple big budget projects. In these situations, value is very much tied to perception. For high net worth individuals, especially those with active business ventures, endorsements, or ongoing creative projects, their market value is partly built on the assumption that they will keep producing, promoting, and leading. News of a potentially fatal illness can damage investor confidence, stall negotiations, or tank stock prices tied to their name.
True.
Studios, investors, and sponsors might pull out of deals if they think the person won't be around to fulfill their obligations. Even the rumor of severe illness can trigger contractual reviews. That's kind of what I think when I look at this situation, but let me know what you think in the comments below.
Just as a reminder, 1996, the first mammal cloned was a sheep. I was around for that. And I have to say, I don't know how the research went after that success. You know what? I don't know how it went after that either. I think that it was a bad idea for us to start messing around with stuff like that. I thought that back then because at first it's like, oh man, Jurassic Park, that's really cool. But I don't like the idea of human beings like cloning animals and even worse, people. I think that that's a really bad idea. Oh wow. Hello, Tifa Bell. Thank you for the sub. I didn't know I could accept subs. I didn't know that was a thing. I thought that I wasn't able to get subs yet. That's crazy. I didn't know that I could do that.
On the early, foggy morning of January 26th, 2020, a helicopter crashed in the Calabasas area northwest of Los Angeles, killing 9 people. NBA superstar Kobe Bryant and his daughter Gianna were among the victims. The sports world reeled in agony. Losing Kobe was an absolute tragedy, worsened exponentially by the fact that multiple young teenagers and their family members were lost, as the helicopter was on its way to the Mamba Sports Academy for a girls' basketball tournament. But in the aftermath of the crash, a strange conspiracy played out in the shadows. Corporations hurriedly closing files and obscuring data. Is it possible that Kobe Bryant's helicopter crash wasn't an accident, but sabotage?
Oh yeah, I've seen a lot of stuff on this. Okay.
Kobe was
I've heard a bunch of different theories on this, up to and including the Illuminati theory of like LeBron James sacrificed Kobe Bryant so that he could become a star. I don't know if that's true or not, but you see a lot of stuff like this for it's like one of these types of theories is that Puff Daddy, as he used to be known, it is hype. You are correct. I need to do something for the Twitch people with their stuff. Can I go over to Twitch? Can I VIP you? Is that a thing? What do I can't VIP people. I can report her and block her and ban her. No, I wouldn't do that. However, I don't have any moderators on Twitch. I'll have to look into that. Click to reply. I don't want to reply. I don't know. We'll come back to this. I've seen stuff that's like, oh, you know, what do you call it? Biggie Smalls was sacrificed by Puff Daddy to, you know, really launch his whatever, or that Beyonce sacrificed Aaliyah in order to become a part of the Illuminati, and so on and so on. Two crab-eating macaques.
Actually in a pretty heated legal battle with some extremely powerful pharmaceutical companies. The theory goes that he was suing Insys Therapeutics, High-Tech Pharmaceuticals, and Acorn Corporation
Acorn? That
for
looks like
apparently
Microsoft
lacing
Edge.
diet pills with opioid-like substances to make them more addictive. Like many theories we cover on the channel, there are little bits of truth
I don't like
sprinkled
how that
throughout
thing
the
keeps
theory.
popping
Kobe
up in the
was
thing.
in a legal battle
Is that
with
like
High-Tech
every hour? How
Pharmaceuticals,
often
but
is
it
it
was
doing
over
that?
a trademark
Every
dispute.
30 minutes.
Kobe had been using the name
Brother,
Black Mamba
you gotta
for
chill with
years
that.
on his various brands and products, and he had become embroiled in a legal struggle with High-Tech Pharmaceuticals because they had a supplement or diet pill that was also called Black Mamba. That supplement was being sold at GNC stores nationwide. And there's another wrinkle to the story. High-Tech Pharmaceuticals was also in a legal battle with the government over the inclusion of non-NDA approved ingredients in their supplements. Theorists also claim that Kobe knew of Sarah Fuller, a high-profile opioid death caused by the drug Subsys, a fentanyl spray, and that he included details about Subsys, the manufacturer Insys, and its founder John Kapoor in his lawsuit. The theory counts on Insys Therapeutics, High-Tech Pharmaceuticals,
I don't know
and
anything about
Acorn
any of this.
Corporation all being owned by the same company, which they aren't. And his lawsuit wasn't with Insys, it was with High-Tech, so the theory almost immediately begins to fall apart. I couldn't find any ties between Kobe and Sarah Fuller, or any ties between him and John Kapoor. I believe this theory probably found life, because John Kapoor, the founder of Insys Therapeutics, was sentenced to 5.5 years in prison for his role in the opioid crisis just 3 days before Kobe's death. In reality, Kobe took nearly 10,000 helicopter flights in 15 years. And although they're still relatively safe, helicopters are 63 times more likely to have an accident than planes. Guys, thank you so much for watching.
10,000
another entry into
helicopter
the Celebrity
flights is a
Conspiracy
lot.
Theory Iceberg. If you didn't know already, there are, I think, 6 other videos in this series that you can watch right here on the channel. Please leave a like on the video, it really helps a lot, and feel free to comment any video topics that you'd like to see covered on the channel in the comments below. If you've already watched all the videos on the channel, or if you're looking for something a little more disturbing and maybe too graphic for YouTube, check out my Patreon. I just made an extremely creepy video about the cattle mutilation phenomenon.
You know
I
what?
also have a 2-part video
Something
that's
I
over
should
an
have done
hour long that
earlier.
is an extremely
We'll go ahead and do it now
deep
here.
dive into the Las Vegas massacre, and a video that gives you an in-depth look at the Isaac Cappy Tom Hanks conspiracy theory. So head over there and become a patron if any of that
So we're
sounds
gonna drop
interesting
this
to you. Once again,
into
thank you so
the
much for watching. I'm
chat.
Max
This is a
Powers.
good video.
This is Parasite TV, and I'll see you
Go ahead
again
and like
very
it.
soon.
There's a cool video by Parasite. He does a lot of cool stuff. I've watched a bunch of his videos, as you're about to see. They're very, very interesting. The yearly conspiracy theory ones are pretty good. Aliens want to hurt you. This one is crazy. And at some point in time, maybe on one of the streams we'll go through and watch that, because that one was quite interesting. These are pretty freaky. I think that, where is it? This one is the one that I think is the most interesting. But there's another one about this lady who, like, she was in, and maybe it is this one. She was in a car accident, and then the car caught on fire, and she had supposedly, like, died at the scene, but then the so-called corpse, like, sat up as they were trying to put it into the van or whatever. A lot of people are saying basically that she was killed. So this stuff is really interesting. It's probably, in all likelihood, none of it's real. It's all probably fake and stupid and whatever, but it's interesting, and that's what I value here. I think it's neat. So yeah, that was pretty cool. Yeah. I think that, let's see, how long has it been? It's been about 3 hours. I think that's a pretty good little stream. So I believe I'll probably sign off for the night. I may be back tomorrow to do some more streaming. Maybe this time I'll actually play a video game. I have some catching up to do on my Genshin Impact story, because I'm behind and I've only got a few days to complete the story from this patch. So. But thank you all very much for watching. Once again, don't forget to like and subscribe and follow and all of that stuff on the various channels. You can subscribe on Twitch now, apparently, which I didn't know you could do. I know that if you burn people, you have to wire them down so the muscles don't make them sit up. That's insane and creepy, and I don't like that. Ugh. I don't like that. Gross. But thanks for coming by. I appreciate it. Hopefully we'll catch you tomorrow, or whenever. I'm super close to being able to hit affiliate on Twitch, so hopefully we can make that happen. Thank you for watching. I have been Multiracial Lion, and take care. Have a good one.